Arrow God, if we die together. I roared, snapping my eyes open. What the hell was going on? I was gasping for air, feeling like my heart was going to leap out of my throat. My entire body was like a wild beast, just let loose from a cage, my eyes bloodshot and terrifying. But in the very next second, I froze, completely stunned. I distinctly remember perishing alongside that damned Arrow God. How am I still alive? I turned to look around. Wait a minute. Isn't this the shabby little place I rented after graduating? The tiny apartment in the urban village of Jianghai City? Something wasn't right. Jianghai City had been flattened a long time ago by the boss. During the Gods' War that came afterward, there wasn't even a single untouched brick left standing. Instinctively reaching into my pocket, I pulled out my phone. On the screen, it was clearly displayed. October 11th, 2033. The launch day of Apocalypse. I'm back. I've been reborn, damn it. In an instant, it all clicked. A flood of messy emotions surged through me, but I firmly suppressed them. Please, I've fought against literal gods. What's a little rebirth in the grand scheme of things? That's right, the game called Apocalypse, the one that boasted 100% realism and where in-game abilities could actually affect reality. It's destined to merge with our world. At first, everyone thought it would be a cause for celebration, a new age of extraordinary abilities. But the excitement didn't last long. Monsters from the game began crawling out into reality. And eventually, even the gods descended. Last time, I fought like hell and managed to rise into the top 10 players globally. But in front of a true god, even burning myself out entirely could only pull off a mutual kill. Just the mere thought of those gods, capable of obliterating entire worlds, made my teeth ache. Did humanity really even stand a chance? But that thought only flickered by for a moment. This time, since I've been given another shot, I'll rewrite this messed up ending. Shaking those thoughts off, my gaze fell on the sci-fi-looking game pod in the corner of the room. It was something I bought after draining all my savings back when I first started, all for the dream of grinding money in-game to improve my life. Who could have known that behind this game was the pitfall of a lifetime? This time around, I'll get strong as fast as possible. I clenched my fists so tightly my knuckles popped. In my last life, I missed so many opportunities. But in this life, I swear, I'm taking the fight to those gods, no matter what it costs. A quick look at the clock showed there were still over 6 hours left until the server launch at 8 p.m. Perfect. Time to stock up on food and supplies. Just as I was thinking that, my phone started going absolutely haywire with notifications. I opened it up. Ugh, it was the workgroup chat, and that piece of sh*t manager was spamming me. At Qin Chuan, there's a task you need to come back and fix. At Qin Chuan, why are you reading this and not replying? Do you still want this job? At Qin Chuan, you have 3 minutes to get back to the office, or you're fired. Before I could even respond, my colleague Lu Daong messaged me privately. Hey, Chuan, Manager Li is throwing a tantrum again. If you can't make it back in time, I'll try and cover for you. Without hesitation, I shot back. Thanks, Yong, but I'll handle it. Then I tapped into the group chat, my fingers flying as I typed. Fatty Li, I've had it with you. If it's so urgent, fix it yourself. I quit. Hit send. Quit the group. All in one swift motion. Sure enough, Manager Li's private messages came flying in, but I didn't even bother looking. Blocked that bastard without a second thought. Lu Daong messaged me again. Chuan, I know Manager Li's a jerk, but jobs aren't easy to come by these days. Just bear with it. Yong had always been a good guy. Last life he helped me a lot. I replied, Yong, I've already made up my mind. Oh, and by the way, that new game Apocalypse, you might want to check it out. I'm planning to go all in there. There was a pause on his end before he replied. You mean that game claiming to be 100% realistic? Isn't that a bit risky? I understood his concerns. He had a family to support, and with a house loan, car loan, and responsibilities piling up, the idea of quitting and gaming wasn't exactly realistic for him. I couldn't just blurt out the whole end-of-the-world thing either. After some thought, I sent him this. Yong, just trust me on this one. The opportunities in that game will go beyond anything you can imagine. Just test the waters if you're unsure. I'd said what I could. Whether he seizes the chance or not, that's up to him. I set my phone down and headed out to stock up. By the time I lugged all my stuff back to my apartment, it was already past 7 p.m. After a quick shower, I climbed into my game pod. Even though the servers hadn't officially launched yet, players could still log in to draw their starting talent and pre-select their class. Last life, I drew the A-tier talent Conqueror, which allowed me to stack attack power during prolonged battles. Paired with my heavy armored warrior class, I was a beast, tanky, and deadly. If nothing changes, I should land Conqueror again. As for the class, let's stick with warrior. 10 years of experience counts for something. Just as I was musing over my options, the game pod scanning process began. Player data successfully gathered. Building a game character. Suddenly, beep, 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 a piercing alarm rings out. Warning, detected fragments of divine will. Commencing purification. In an instant, an unhinged voice exploded in my mind. Mortal, you deserve to die. I felt a chill down my spine, and cold sweat soaked my back instantly. It's the Arrow God. That voice is something I'd never forget, not even if I turned to ashes. Holy crap, did fragments of that guys will follow me back into this new life? Gods really are impossible to guard against. But what happened next completely blew my mind. The gaming pod actually purified the Arrow God's will fragments? What kind of next-level tech is this? Oh, it's Apocalypse. That explains it. Wait, Apocalypse is backed by those bastards, the gods themselves, right? So why are they taking out their own? Turns out the so-called high and mighty ones aren't all on the same team either. This sudden incident made the sense of urgency in my heart spike even more. I have to get stronger, as fast as possible. After what felt like an eternity, the cold, emotionless voice of the gaming pod spoke again. Purification complete. Commencing talent draw. Ding. You have obtained SSS level talent. Sharpshooter. SSS level? My mind buzzed, leaving me completely stunned. Did I hear that right? In my previous life, the highest talent ever revealed worldwide was only SS level. That guy practically soloed the rest of us 9 top global players using that talent, smashing us into the ground like we were dummies. Talents were just that insane. In my past life, I'd only managed to scrape together an A-level talent. Even with skill and game sense on my side, it barely got me into the global top 10. And now, I actually got an SSS level talent? Wait, it's not Conqueror. Then it hit me immediately. Something must have changed when the Arrow God's will fragments got purified. Whatever. It's a good thing. A damn great thing. I couldn't wait to check out the attributes of this Sharpshooter talent. Sharpshooter LV1 SSS level. Effect 1. All your ranged attacks are guaranteed to hit and automatically convert damage to true damage. Effect 2. Your ranged attack damage is amplified by distance. For every 1 meter, an additional 10% damage. Holy SH. Even with 2 lifetimes under my belt, my heart couldn't help but pound out of my chest. This talent is outright ludicrous. A total game changer. Guaranteed hit plus true damage. Do you have any idea what that means? It means armor and dodge are completely useless against me. Unless you have some kind of invincibility skill, you have to eat the damage. And then there's the second part. It's downright unhinged. Every meter adds 10% more damage. 100 meters? That's 10x damage. 1,000 meters? 100x damage. Once distance scaling becomes common in the late game, with fights spanning several kilometers, this kind of damage potential, I can hardly wrap my head around it. And this is just at LV1. Heat coursed through my veins as though my entire body were on fire. This has to be the Arrow God's original talent. No wonder he had the audacity to claim his archery was unmatched across heaven and earth. If I didn't risk my life to get in close and take him out last time, who knows who would have killed who. But, then again, this is where my excitement cooled, and I frowned. A question hung heavy in my mind. With Sharpshooter, choosing an archer seems like the perfect match. But I've already taken down 1 Arrow God in my past life. I know firsthand, this class has fatal weaknesses. They're as fragile as glass. My philosophy has always been, if you want to deal damage, you have to stay alive first. That's why I went with a warrior build in my previous life. Now, with this new talent, warrior's definitely not an option, but archer? That's way too risky. For the moment, I found myself stuck, unsure of my next step. Suddenly, the gaming pod's voice chimed in again. Dear player, detecting your SSS level talent. Recommending the most compatible class, Archer. Ding. Based on your talent level, All hidden classes within the Archer branch have been unlocked. No surprises there. High-level talents always grant exclusive access to hidden classes. But honestly, I'm not planning to follow their recommendation. Archer's weaknesses, even with a hidden class, can't entirely be offset. Then, like a flash of lightning, inspiration hit me. Got it. I know what to go with. Assassin. That's right. The class walking in shadows and dancing on knife's edge. Now, I know it sounds absurd. Assassins and the sharpshooter talent couldn't be more different. One's a close-range burst fighter, the other's all about long-range precision strikes. But here's the thing. I'm banking on the assassin's exceptional survival and mobility skills. Stealth, shadow step, dodge, sprint. If I can't win, I can always run. It's all about mastering the art of being slippery. Of course, that's not all I'm after. The real reason behind this choice. An additional 30 points of damage from Sniper's talent. Combine that with 10 base damage and 20 added from Stealth Breaker. That's a total of 60 damage from just one shot. Damn, for a starting move, that's insane. This is really optimized for my playstyle. Forget melee, forget tanking. This is pure strategic assassination. Snipe, vanish, and repeat. They won't even know what hit them. I couldn't help but grin as I kept calculating strategies for when the server goes live. Step 2. Farm mobility and stealth items ASAP. Staying undetected while being able to reposition quickly is key with this class. Once I have a decent setup, I'll start targeting mid-tier mobs for some extra XP and loot. Step 3. Avoid early PvP at all costs. The last thing I want is to draw attention before mastering this build. And Step 4. When the other players are still figuring things out, I'll already be out there one-shotting mobs like a ghost. My confidence was through the roof as I reclined back in the gaming pod. I checked the countdown on the display. 1 hour and 41 minutes left till launch. Just enough time to run through everything again. This was it, the rebirth of the legend. Time for the shadow to rise. The base damage is 10 plus 20. Multiply that by the 3x range bonus, then multiply again by the 1.5x class trait bonus. Holy crap, that's over 100 damage in one hit. And that's not even counting critical hits or weak point damage. If I level up my talents, won't this damage basically break the game? I'm an assassin, and my long-range damage is absurdly higher than an archer's. Who would even believe this? The kicker? I have a 100% hit rate. Shoot, strike, and run. Completely unstoppable. The more I thought about it, the more excited I got. I could barely stop myself from diving in and wreaking havoc right this second. Calm down, calm down. There's also the beginner's village opportunities. I forced myself to cool down and started recalling what I knew from my past life. In Apocalypse, the game, the world is filled with opportunities, especially in the beginner's village, which hides many secret treasures. Last life, I was too focused on grinding for gold and missed so much. This time, I'm going to claim everything. Oh right, the Hunter's Hidden Quest. That item is unique. No way I'm letting someone else snag it first. My heart immediately locked onto a goal. In my past life, that item was discovered a whole month later by some random guy with too much time on his hands. Now that I know about it, there's no reason I should miss it. Who knows if my reincarnation will cause some kind of butterfly effect. If someone else grabs it early, I'll have nowhere to cry. As for the follow-up to that quest, the players in my last life couldn't complete it because they weren't strong enough. But with my SSS tier talent and my unique hidden class, I can solo bosses now. Of course, I'll get it. The more I planned, the clearer my strategy became. And then, ding, Apocalypse is about to launch. Countdown, 10, 9, 8. Here we go. I immediately sat upright, my heart racing. The countdown hit 0. Would you like to log in? Log in. Logging in. If you experience dizziness, nausea, fainting, or seizures, please note that these reactions are completely normal. Do not panic. Brave adventurer, may you create your own future in Apocalypse. A flash of white light, and I was suddenly standing on unfamiliar yet familiar land. Welcome to Apocalypse. You've been assigned to Beginner's Village number 9527. Enjoy your gameplay. Looking at the Beginner's Village, familiar yet unfamiliar, I took a deep breath as my blood began to boil. Time to check my stats. I immediately opened my character panel. Username, Night Reaper. Class, Shadow Assassin Unique. Level, 0.101 thousandths. Attributes: Strength 5, Vitality 5, Agility 8, Spirit 4. Attack: 10. HP: 100. Skills: ***. Shadow Stealth LV1. Stealth attack deals extra damage. Attack power *100% plus 20. Shadow Dagger LV1. Uses shadow energy to create a throwing knife, dealing attack power *110% damage. Shadow Strike LV1. A powerful melee strike. Wait a minute. My eyes widened as I stared at the skill list. Shadow Dagger? That's a ranged skill. I was already ready to sell off everything I had to scrounge up for a crappy bow, but now, the system just handed me a ranged weapon for free. Not only that, but stealth attack damage is tied to my attack power, too. This is insane. With Shadow Dagger, I don't even need a bow anymore. I can just use my skills to trigger stealth attack, one-shot mobs of the same level, and farm with no issues. No wonder it's a unique hidden class. This is way too good. I closed the panel and was just about to move, only to realize I was completely stuck in place. Surrounded. Completely. There were people everywhere. Holy crap, this feels too real. I can feel the wind on my face, and this damn pile of dog. Ugh, gross. CPDD. Any cute guys want to team up? Quick, go grab the quests before they're gone. All members of the Ironblood Warband, gather here. We're going for the first boss kill. The entire beginner's village was as chaotic as a crowded marketplace. But it didn't take long before complaints started bubbling up. What the hell? Why does this rabbit know how to dodge? Both my fireballs missed. This game sucks. I can't even beat a chicken. Where are the quests? Why don't the NPCs have exclamation marks above their heads? Damn it. I went to the village elder for a quest, and he hit me with his staff and kicked me out instead. Hearing all the frustrated shouts, I smirked coldly. Apocalypse was always known for its extreme freedom. No hand-holding, no guides. The monster AI was terrifyingly high. Half-dead mobs would escape, even call for reinforcements. I watched a recently respawned player charge at a rabbit again, only to get wiped out just as fast, and shook my head with a helpless chuckle. Enjoy these moments now. Once the first phase of the game's integration into reality is complete, dying in this game won't just stay in the game. At that moment, you'd finally understand what this thing truly was. I took a deep breath, shoving all the chaotic emotions aside, and dove into the crowd, pushing my way towards the hunter's house in the village. It took a lot of effort, but I managed to squeeze near the doorway. Sure enough, it was completely surrounded by players, packed so tightly that not even water could trickle through. Judging by the players' dejected expressions, it was clear that no one had gotten the quest. No surprise there. Normally, players had to be at least level 3 to trigger a quest from this hunter. A good-spirited guy noticed me approaching and shouted out, "Yo, bro, don't bother. You're wasting your time. That cripple isn't giving out any quests." Just as the words left his mouth, whoosh. An arrow shot out from inside the house and hit the guy dead on, taking him out instantly. The surrounding players were stunned into silence. What the hell? NPCs could kill players? What kind of starting village was this? Some kind of death trap? I wasn't surprised at all. In Apocalypse, NPCs weren't just lines of code. They had their own consciousness. If a player didn't respect them, they had every right to take out the trash themselves. This particular hunter? His leg had been crippled in battle. Referring to him as the cripple struck a raw nerve. A one-shot kill was more or less expected. The player's corpse turned into a flash of white light, and barely a moment later, he came storming back in a fury, clearly intending to confront the hunter. He didn't even make it to the courtyard before, whoosh, down he went again. The village guards passing by acted like they hadn't seen a thing. At that point, the players around the house finally wised up. Conversations turned into whispers, and quite a few people started sneaking away. As for me, I went against the flow and walked right into the house. Inside, the hunter, who wore a sullen expression, was hanging his bow back on the wall. Without sparing me so much as a glance, he scooped up a ladle of water and guzzled it down. I didn't bother with small talk. Getting straight to the point, I said, "The beast's skull, I want it." The hunter froze mid-drink. He whipped his head around, his sharp eyes boring into mine with a chilling intensity. His voice was cold and gruff. "Not for sale." As he spoke, he began walking toward the wall where his bow hung. His tone dropped an octave as he asked, "Who told you about it?" The way he was eyeing me suggested that the wrong answer would have me pinned to the wall in the next second. But was I scared? Not a bit. We can respawn. Killing me now won't accomplish anything. I shrugged, my tone calm and composed. The hunter's stride faltered for a moment. A sneer curled at his lips. "So what? I don't want to sell. What are you going to do about it?" I gave him a sly smile. "You're right. I can't force you. But don't you want to kill that Wolf King and finally get your revenge? Let me take it down for you, and you hand over the beast's skull." See, I remembered very clearly. The hunter's crippled leg? That was the handiwork of the Wolf King near the starting village. Granted, I had no idea how someone capable of acquiring an artifact as rare as a beast's skull had managed to get beaten by a starter village boss. But that didn't matter. All I needed was to trigger the quest. And as expected, my words hit a nerve. For a brief moment, hesitation flickered across the hunter's face. But then he gave me a once-over and snorted disdainfully. You? You think you can pull that off? How I do it doesn't concern you," I replied, exuding an unshakable confidence. 3 days. I'll bring you the Wolf King's head within 3 days. But for now, you need to hand over the beast's skull." The hunter stared me down, visibly lost in thought, waging an internal battle. That skull, it hadn't come easy. He'd risked his life to get it, intending to use it as a stepping stone to ascend to greater heights. But instead, he'd found himself blindsided by the Wolf King, losing not just the use of one leg, but also his dreams. The fire of hatred burned fiercely in his chest. He knew he'd never be able to exact revenge on his own. So what good was keeping the skull? If trading it meant that damned creature would finally die, it was worth it. If he couldn't have peace, then neither would the Wolf King. As for me asking for the reward up front, that didn't bother him. He understood how Apocalypse worked. I couldn't run off with it even if I wanted to. Reaching a decision, the hunter finally spoke. "Fine, you can have the skull. But remember your promise. I want that Wolf King's head in 3 days." A grin spread across my face as I replied, "You've got my word." Ding. You have accepted the timed mission. Hunt the Wolf King. Mission rewards: 3,000 XP, 30 silver coins, plus 30 hunter affection. Warning. You have pre-claimed the mission reward. Failure to complete it within the time limit will result in a penalty of -5 base attributes across the board. Asterisk asterisk. As the system notification chimed, the hunter walked over to his bed, removed the floorboard, and carefully retrieved a wooden box from the hidden compartment beneath. He solemnly handed it over to me. Ding. You have obtained a special item. Beast Skull. Asterisk asterisk Beast Skull. Unique item. Asterisk asterisk. Effect 1. Blessing of the Beast. Gain +5 free attribute points for every level up. Item 2. Hunt Mode. Gain 1 evolution point for every 100 monsters/1 boss defeated. Evolution points can be used to upgrade equipment or skills. Current evolution points: 1. Up. I couldn't help but let out a whistle. As expected of a one-of-kind item, other players gain 10 attribute points per level up, but I gained 15. That's like leveling up twice for me, while it's 3 levels worth for others. One step ahead, every step ahead. With this advantage, I'll snowball harder and harder as the game progresses. And the most insane part? The second ability, Hunt Mode. I can evolve my equipment and skills just by killing stuff. This feature is going to shine even more in the late game. Absolutely god tier. Plus, it comes with 1 evolution point right off the bat. Perfect for my current predicament. I stashed the item, turned around, and walked out of the small cabin without a backward glance. Outside, the other players stared at me, their eyes practically popping out of their sockets as they saw the box I carried out of the hunter's shack. What the heck? How did he get the quest? He's hacking. Dude's gotta be hacking. Oh, I get it. That cripple only responds to threats, not kindness. Thwack. And just like that, another loudmouth bit the dust. Let me handle this. A cocky newbie volunteered, charging up to the hunter and yelling in his face, "Yo, old man, hand over the quest." Thwack. Predictable outcome. The remaining players weren't ready to give up. Some continued pestering the hunter, while others turned to surround me. I couldn't be bothered to deal with their nonsense, so I activated Shadow Stealth. In an instant, my silhouette vanished. What the heck? Where'd he go? Stealth? No way. I'm an assassin, too, and I can't do that. This guy definitely paid to win. GM, show me where to top up. Walking through the shadows, I ignored the commotion behind me and made an exciting discovery. My shadow stealth cooldown began ticking down as soon as I activated the skill. This is huge. For regular assassins, their stealth cooldown only starts after they're revealed. But with this, I can wait for the cooldown to reset while still hidden. Dish out an attack, vanish back into stealth immediately. Seamless transitions. Safety ensured. The only downside, a 20-second cooldown is still a bit long. Looks like I'll need to use this evolution point to shorten the cooldown on Shadow Stealth. With that thought in mind, I silently made my way through the crowd and headed out of the village. Things were even busier outside the village. Players were flooding the area, scrambling to kill mobs. I paid them no mind, stealthily making my way toward the Boar Plains. The mobs here started at level 5. Soon, I had my target, a lone wild boar. Wild boar. LV 5. HP 500. With my current damage, a single use of Shadow Throwing Knife deals 185 points of true damage from 30 meters away. That's a 3-hit kill, too slow. Anyone else hearing this would probably spit blood. They're out there jabbing rabbits with tiny daggers, dealing 5 or 6 damage per hit. Meanwhile, I'm doing almost 200 damage a pop and still complaining. But I'm all about efficiency. I pulled out the beast skull, mentally making my selection. First evolution will cost 1 evolution point. Evolve Shadow Stealth. Yes. Ding. Shadow Stealth has been evolved. Quality upgraded from normal iron. I immediately checked the updated stats. Shadow Stealth LV1, iron. The first strike upon exiting stealth deals an additional 120% attack power plus 50 damage. Cooldown reduced to 18 seconds. Game changer. This is what you call a proper upgrade. Fixed damage more than doubled, attack power multiplier increased by 20%, and the cooldown shaved by 2 seconds. Perfect. Clutching the beast's skull, I couldn't help but feel a surge of excitement. No wonder the guy who got his hands on this in my previous life ended up becoming one of the top 10 players. With my SSS tier talent, unique hidden class, and now this beast's skull, this time, I'm aiming for heights even greater than his. Eyes gleaming with determination, I turned back to the boar munching casually on some grass. Without hesitation, I let loose a Shadow Throwing Knife. Dark energy condensed into a blade in my hand and flew at breakneck speed toward the boar. The moment I attacked, I felt an invisible force subtly guiding my movement, making the strike faster and more precise. So that's the hidden effect of Sniper Prodigy. I instantly understood. The 30-meter range I'd gauged previously was based on the average player's limit. But with an SSS tier talent, I'm far from average. In the blink of an eye, the dark blade sliced through the air and landed squarely in the boar's side. Minus 329. A massive damage number popped up, and nearly 2/3 of the boar's health vanished in a flash. Too bad. No crit this time, or it would have been an instant kill. Next time, I should aim for the eyes, I calculated silently to myself. With the auto-correction granted by my godly sniper talent, the chance to land a hit was ridiculously high. The wild boar in the distance, struck by my attack, became instantly enraged. Its eyes turned red as it locked onto my position, preparing to charge with its head down. But in the next moment, its target vanished. The boar froze, confused. Where'd they go? Wasn't there someone standing there a moment ago? Did I imagine it? It shook its massive head, but couldn't figure it out. Instead, it lowered its head and resumed grazing, as though nothing had happened. Little did it know, its body felt strangely drained, as if something was hollowing it out. From the shadows in the distance, I waited in silence, watching as my cooldowns ticked away. In 18 seconds, Shadow Stealth would be ready again. I waited another 10 seconds after that, ensuring my Shadow Throwing Dagger was off cooldown too. This time, I deliberately aimed for the eye of another wild boar. Minus 494. Weak spot attack. A massive damage number floated above its head. The boar didn't even let out a grunt before collapsing on the spot. Ding. You've killed a level 5 wild boar and gained 50 EXP, crossed a 4-level gap, awarded an extra 20 EXP. 70 experience points earned. To tell the truth, it almost felt unfair. Back in my previous run, with my A-tier talent and the heavy armor warrior class at my best. I could only handle mobs a level or two higher than me with painstaking effort. Most regular players? Forget it. They'd have to team up, and even then gaining XP felt like squeezing water from a rock. But now this efficiency? Still, I wasn't focused solely on the experience points. Something else piqued my interest during that last encounter. The Godly Sniper talent. It really is a literal aim-and-shoot deal. Time to adjust my grinding strategy. At a range of 30 meters, my weak spot attacks weren't capable of one-shotting a level 5 wild boar. But that didn't bother me. My attack power may fall short, but I can always increase the distance. With the confidence brought by Godly Sniper, I could already envision myself nailing a wild boar's eye from 100 meters out with a single dagger. At 100 meters, that's a 10x damage multiplier. A stealth class paired with Godly Sniper. Even God-tier players would kneel before me. As soon as my skills refreshed, I activated stealth and went in search of my next victim. Another level 5 wild boar, but this time, I set up 40 meters away. This range was perfect. Any further, and I'd have to spend extra time running to pick up loot. Too inefficient. I steadied myself, wrist flicking slightly as the shadow-infused dagger flew soundlessly through the air. Minus 657. Weak spot attack. HP drained instantly. Another brainless instant kill. Another 70 experience points pocketed. I glanced at the ground. Not even a strand of boar hair dropped as loot. Meh. Used to it. The loot rates in Apocalypse, yeah? I learned to live with them in my past life. Besides, my priority now is just to level up. Each boar yields 70 EXP. Take down a dozen or so, and I'll level up. At my current rate of 1 kill every 18 seconds, that's just a matter of minutes. Insane. This leveling speed? Absolutely wild. The first player to reach level 10 gets a special reward. Missed out on that in my last life. Not this time. With that goal in mind, I dove headfirst back into what was both a monotonous yet exhilarating grind. Slipping in and out of the shadows like a ghost, I became the Grim Reaper of the wild boar plains. Wherever I struck, death followed. Before long, the long-anticipated system notification rang out. You've reached level 2. You've gained 5 free attribute points. The power of shadows gathers around you, granting an additional 5 free attribute points. Beast's Blessing activated. You've gained 5 extra free attribute points. I stopped momentarily, awash with emotion. Hidden class progression really does hit differently. In my past run as a heavy armor warrior, every level up barely granted me 3 bonus points. But now, as the one and only Shadow Assassin, a whopping 5 points from the class alone. Adding the 5 points from the Ancient Beast Skull passive bonus gave me a total of 20 attribute points per level, double what regular players could even dream of. Holy crap, this is absolutely busted. Wait, I'm the one cheating? Well, in that case, all good. Keeping a straight face, I began distributing my stats. 15 free points. Following a 2-to-1 ratio, I allocated 10 points to agility and 5 to strength. For an assassin, agility is king. Still, no harm in giving my attack power a little extra love. With my stats distributed, I ventured deeper into wild boar territory. This time, I set my sights on level 7 wild boars. Wild boar. Level 7. HP 1050. Big jump in stats this time. No hesitation, I sent a shadow-throwing dagger flying their way. Minus 782. Weak spot attack. It dealt heavy damage but wasn't enough for a one-shot kill. The boar roared and charged straight at me. I frowned, disappearing into stealth to dodge its advance. Once my cooldowns refreshed, I finished it off with a follow-up strike. Ding! You've killed a level 7 wild boar and gained 105 EXP. The EXP reward was better, but efficiency? Not so much. If it takes 2 strikes to kill 1 boar, that's just too slow. I began to consider my options. Should I head back to the village and invest in a bow? No. Even with a bow, if I can't one-shot them, what's the point? Gotta fly the kite. With so many wild boars around here, getting surrounded is a dead end. Instead of taking risks, better to stand a bit farther back. If 40 meters isn't enough to take them down, then 50 meters, 60 meters. With the Sniper God talent, distance equals damage. Wait a minute, can shadow-throwing knife even reach that far? A question popped into my mind. To find out, I immediately aimed at a wild boar 80 meters away. From this distance, the wild boar already looked like a tiny black dot to me. But I had this strong gut feeling. If I throw, it'll hit for sure. Swish. The black throwing knife flew straight out, but at around 50 meters, its form started to dissipate. Eventually, it faded into energy and disappeared. I frowned slightly, then quickly shrugged it off. It's my stats, just not enough to support the skill reaching that far. A 50-meter shot dealing 976 weak point damage couldn't take down a level 7 wild boar. I shifted my gaze and locked onto a level 6 wild boar instead. It had 900 HP. Perfect, you're the one. Minus 976. Weak point attack. The level 6 wild boar dropped dead on the spot. Ding. Killed a level 6 wild boar. Earned 84 experience points. I nodded in satisfaction. Now that's the efficiency we're talking about. Killing a dozen wild boars should be enough to level up in under 10 minutes. Looks like my limitation is still my attack power. I started pondering my stat allocation strategy, but quickly overthrew my previous plan. Not only that, I even decided to channel all my free attribute points into agility. That's right, full agility. Right now, most of my damage comes from the fixed damage bonus of Hidden Strike. In that case, adding a few points into strength doesn't really make much of a difference. It's better to focus entirely on agility to boost crit rates and fluidity. Then, I'll rely on Hunting Moment, evolution points to level up my skills. That's the real path to skyrocketing damage. Once I wrapped my head around that, I immediately dove into another session of intense grinding. While I was grinding like a madman, a team had stealthily made their way onto the wild boar plains. Boss Longting, isn't it kinda risky for us, given our level, to deal with wild boars out here? Are you questioning how I do things? Our boss is a heavy armor warrior, a hidden profession. His defense is 3 times that of normal people. On top of that, Little Snow's Holy Fire Priest can enchant weapons. We'll have no problem breaking through their defenses. Exactly. The low-level zones are packed. Rabbits don't even last 2 seconds before someone takes them out. Might as well risk it here. This crew was none other than an elite squad from the Longting Guild. The moment they stepped onto the plains, they knew something was off. Huh? There's a boar corpse over there. Someone got here before us. That's weird. Why don't we see anyone? Maybe they got sent back by the boars. The leading, heavy armor warrior gestured sharply, his voice deep. Stay alert. Go for level 5 once. He hadn't even finished talking when, right in front of their eyes, a level 6 wild boar dropped dead on the spot with a thud. Just as quickly, an item popped out next to its body. The archer in their group stared wide-eyed. What the? Did that boar just commit suicide? He started rushing toward the loot, but the captain pulled him back sharply. The man, known as Longting Tianxia, now wore a grim expression. Someone's here. As those words left his mouth, a blurred figure appeared briefly near the loot, swiftly grabbed the item, and disappeared again in a flash. It happened so fast that everyone thought their eyes were playing tricks on them. Was that a person? Must have been a rogue using stealth. But how could they vanish again right after breaking stealth? What about the cooldown? The team's rogue was utterly baffled. Longting Tianxia, however, felt a storm brewing inside. One-hit kill. A single strike took down a level 6 wild boar. This individual had to be a top-tier rogue with an advanced hidden profession. His mind started racing. He called out to the direction where the figure had vanished. I am Longting Tianxia. I'd like to make your acquaintance. Still in stealth mode, I froze when I heard that name. Longting Tianxia. In my previous life, this guy and I were constant rivals while competing for the top spot in the warrior rankings. Never thought I'd run into him this early in this life. As for his attempt to recruit me, not interested. That said, making friends wouldn't hurt. I canceled my stealth and walked out openly, nodding at him. Longting Tianxia, I've heard a lot about you. Longting immediately sent me a friend request, and I accepted it. Looking at the name Night Stalker in his friend list, he clasped his hands together and said, "So it's Brother Night Stalker. The pleasure is mine." Behind him, the archer whispered, "Night Stalker? Never heard of that name." Longting sharply turned and glared at him. Shut up. However, that didn't stop me from recognizing the terrifying potential he carried. Let's not even talk about anything else. For the fact alone that he could one-shot a level 6 boar was enough to leave anyone speechless. 900 health points. Even if it stood there, defenseless and naked, for you to chop away at, an average player would still take ages to take it down. But under the hand of Night Wanderer, that boar didn't even get the chance to grunt before it was gone. I couldn't do that, even if I tried. And not just me. Even if our 5-person squad focused all our firepower, there was no way we could drop it in one rotation. Our team is stacked. Most of us have hidden classes and B-grade talents at minimum. I've even got an A-grade defensive talent. My mind raced. Could this guy's damage come from an S-grade talent? The very thought gave me chills. There was some envy, sure. But most of all, it left me utterly shocked. I quickly smothered the raging waves of my surprise and extended an invitation. Brother Night Wanderer, want to team up and grind together? In my mind, with such burst power, there had to be a cost. His cooldown must be ridiculously long. During those cooldown periods, our squad could help him farm and gain some favor along the way. My teammates caught on quickly. Big bro Night Wanderer, join our party. It'll be way more efficient. Yeah, with our leader tanking, you can just focus on dealing damage. For all their enthusiasm, I just shook my head. Thanks, but I prefer going solo. A flicker of regret flashed across Dragon Soars the World's face. But one of his team's archers seemed annoyed, muttering under their breath, acting all high and mighty. Careful you don't get gored to death by a boar. It wasn't loud, but I caught every word. Still, it wasn't worth the effort to argue with a random passerby. Dragon Soars the World furrowed his brow and immediately reprimanded the archer. Apologize. I shook my hand dismissively. Forget it. With that, I stealthed right away, pocketed the wild boar hide armor that had just dropped and disappeared before their eyes. As I walked away, the archer let loose in their team chat. That guy is so full of himself. He probably used some talent or item to one-shot the boar. The cooldown has to be ridiculously long. Boss, even inviting him was giving him too much face, and he didn't even appreciate it. The others didn't chime in, but they likely thought the same. Even Dragon Soars the World looked a bit disgruntled. He was a reputable figure, after all. For him to extend an invitation only to be refused, it stung a little. Of course, he didn't show it. He just stood there, silently watching the distance. Waiting for me to make my next move. In his mind, that world-ending skill of mine had to have at least a 30-minute cooldown. But before that notion could even fully settle in his head, he saw it. Not far away, another level. 6 boar crumpled to the ground, just like that. And my figure? A mere shadow flickering in the distance. So fast, Dragon Soars the World's eyelid twitched wildly. At most, it had been 30 seconds since the last one. S-grade talent. Absolutely terrifying. But the next moment, he noticed something odd. Wait, isn't Night Wanderer a bit far? As an assassin, shouldn't I be backstabbing enemies up close? Their team's healer caught the discrepancy too. Could he actually be a ranger? No way. The nearby archer shot back instantly. What ranger can one-shot enemies multiple levels higher? And there weren't any arrows sticking out of the boar either. I'll bet my gear. He's definitely not a ranger. A new puzzle emerged. How could an assassin take out a target from 50 meters away? What kind of assassin was this? An actual sniper? As they struggled to wrap their minds around it, yet another boar hit the ground. This time, the archer couldn't contain himself, cursing under his breath. Hackers, man. Freaking hackers. And they said there were no hacks in this game. They're full of crap. Dragon Soars the World, knowing a bit of insider info, was certain this global-scale, jointly developed game had virtually zero probability for hacks. But the scene unfolding before him was simply too far beyond anything he could have anticipated. One-shot kills every 20 seconds. How do you even begin to explain that? As he was spiraling into doubt, another boar crumpled to the ground. By now, even the assassin in their party couldn't keep his composure. Staring at me farming away in the distance, then looking back at himself, he felt utterly inadequate, like a total failure. Same class. How is the gap this wide? He muttered blankly, his eyes void of focus. The archer clapped him on the shoulder, a sorrowful look on his face. I understand your pain, brother. But if an assassin can one-shot a target from 50 meters away, what about me? How is a ranger even supposed to live with himself? The two of them exchanged tragic looks. Their gaming careers had never felt darker. Dragon Soars the World tightened his grip on his shield as he let out a low growl. Focus. A boar had charged them while they were distracted. Bang. The impact sent Dragon Soars the World stumbling back 3 steps, his health dropping to critical. Fortunately, the healer reacted quickly, casting a heal that barely pulled him back from the brink. Dash 5. Dash 5. The remaining team members scrambled in a frenzy to attack, but every hit landed on the wild boar only dealt fixed holy bonus damage. Their attacks didn't even break its defense. After a chaotic struggle, they finally managed to grind down a level 5 wild boar. We're still pretty strong, aren't we? Dragonting the World offered a dry encouragement. No one answered him. The priest girl pointed into the distance. Boss, I think that guy isn't just cheating. He is the cheat. Dragonting looked back. While they had been struggling to take down a single level 5 boar, I had already taken out 3 level 6 ones effortlessly. Damn, even Dragonting couldn't help but curse. I'm calling it. This guy is a total cheater. If it were possible, he'd love to ask me where I bought such a hack and get one for himself. The difference in power was just too demoralizing. Noticing the team's morale plummeting, Dragonting quickly tried to rally. Don't get discouraged. Leaving aside that freak of nature over there, who else at this stage can even take on level 5 boars? We're still top-tier players. Oddly enough, that managed to work a little. The team's assassin, seemingly finding his purpose in life again, puffed out his chest. I bet his talent is super spec for ranged attacks. He's probably horrible in melee. My talent boosts melee damage by 20%. If we fought, it'd be an even match. Next to him, the archer seemed equally reinvigorated. He's just spamming skills. No way he knows how to shoot. In archery, I'm a professional competitive shooter. No question, I've got him beat. Watching these 2 clowns reignite their fighting spirit, Dragonting found the corner of his eye twitching. But after some thought, a spark of confidence returned to him as well. When it comes to defense, surely I've got the upper hand against him. And with that, Team Dragonting walked on with their heads held high once more. I, of course, had no idea what mental gymnastics these folks had gone through and was busy grinding my levels like crazy. You have leveled up. Now level 3. This time, I allocated all 15 of my free attribute points to agility. Instantly, my agility stat soared to a ridiculous 37. Even a normal assassin maxing agility wouldn't reach that number until level 6 or 7. And by then, my stats will have climbed even higher. Grabbing the beast's skull first thing was absolutely the move of the gods. Feeling pretty pleased with myself, I glanced at my evolution points. Still needed to take down about 60 more boars. Evolving Shadow Stealth isn't quite within reach yet unless a boss spawns. My eyes suddenly lit up. Of course, how did I forget about that mechanic? In Apocalypse Online, massacring a large number of the same monster type in a short period of time triggers a boss spawn. Without a moment to lose, I turned and looked toward the direction of the newbie village. Given how hyped players have been, the giant rabbit boss should be spawning any second now. Just then, out of the corner of my eye, I noticed that Dragonting's group had abandoned their half-defeated wild boar and bolted straight toward the village. Something clicked in my mind. The boss has spawned. Without hesitation, I followed suit. My 37 agility had me zooming ahead like a blur, overtaking them in the blink of an eye. Outside the newbie village, chaos was in full swing. Get out of here. This boss is mine. To hell with your guild. Think you can strong-arm us? Take this, you bastard. An enormous rabbit, bigger than a bull, was rampaging through the crowd, casually chomping down players left and right like crunchy snacks. But not even the threat of death was enough to dampen the players' dreams of striking it rich. Before long, however, a sense of despair began to settle in. WTF. This boss has 250 defense. Damn devs, come take this beating for me. Refund. Refund. All physical hits on the boss returned a frustrating miss, while mage fireballs barely made a dent. Only a few hidden classes were able to eke out single-digit damage at best. Still, the universal loot-sharing rule encouraged everyone into a frenzied mob. Even if they couldn't damage the boss, just tapping it a couple of times could earn them a shot at a god-tier drop. Suddenly, an enormous damage number floated up from above the giant rabbit boss. Minus 976. Critical weak spot attack. After landing the hit, I immediately slipped back into the shadows. Giant Rabbit, Iron Tier. HP, for 6522/50,000. After being mobbed by hundreds of players, the boss had lost less than 3,000 health. Meanwhile, I could deal nearly 1,000 damage every 20 seconds, which meant I could surpass the total damage of all the other players in just 1 minute. But it wasn't enough. According to the rules, if I didn't contribute at least 50% of the damage, the loot allocation would be randomized. I quickly ran calculations in my head. To hit 50%, I'd need roughly 8 minutes. But with more players flooding in, the risks are too high. If I ignore Shadow Stealth's cooldown to spam Shadow Throw? No, that's too risky. If I get exposed, my frail build will get demolished instantly. Rare opportunities like this don't come around often. Was I really just going to let this one slip away? Deep in thought, the moment the plan was executed, the entire battlefield exploded into chaos. Holy crap, where the hell did that damage come from? 976. Did I see that right? Hacks. That's definitely a hacker. Guys, stop attacking. We need to find that cheat first. Otherwise, we're not getting a share of the loot. Instantly, every player stopped fighting. Bloodshot eyes darted around, frantically searching the crowd. Some players, already seeing red, started indiscriminately throwing skills at the spot where I had last been seen, desperately trying to kill me out of stealth. I hid in the shadows, my heart racing. Damn, if it weren't for my shadow stealth, seamlessly transitioning me out of sight, I would have been carved up by these maniacs by now. This moment made me even more grateful for my choices. If I had chosen the archer class, sure, I could deal even higher damage. But the second I showed my face, I'd get focus fired. Unless I could land a shot that took down half the boss's health in one hit, there'd be no way I'd get a piece of the loot. This boss spawned way too early. If I'd waited longer and gathered more evolution points, I wouldn't be in such a tight spot. I sighed, resigning myself to waiting for my skills to come off cooldown. Meanwhile, the Dragon Sovereign Guild squad arrived, panting from exertion. After hearing the details of what had happened, they exchanged awkward glances. The team's assassin was the first to react, exclaiming, "It's Nightshade." The healer, Xiaoxua, nodded in agreement. At this stage, the only person who can dish out nearly 1,000 damage would be him. There's no one else. Dragon Sovereign's leader let out a bitter chuckle. No wonder he didn't want to team up with us. Turns out, we'd be holding him back. The group couldn't help but sigh in admiration. Then, their archer brought up the elephant in the room. "Boss, if Nightshade's here, are we still going to compete for the boss?" His question plunged them into silence. He was right. Based on their squad's damage output, there was no way they could dish out more than 50% of the boss's health to claim the critical share of rewards. Without Nightshade, sure, they could gamble on some good luck. But with him here, his explosive damage every 20 seconds would secure the loot in less than 8 minutes, easily. Even if the entire player base of the starting village rushed over, their combined damage wouldn't outpace his. As Dragon Sovereign wavered, his guild's reinforcements, around 30 more players, each with Dragon Sovereign XXX above their heads, rushed in. The presence of his comrades bolstered his confidence, but the dilemma of what to do still loomed heavy over them. And then, I struck again. -976. Weak point attack, asterisk asterisk. The big, bold damage number floated over the boss's head once more. The players around stared wide-eyed, yet still couldn't find even a trace of me. That hit sealed the deal for Dragon Sovereign. He gathered his squad, muttered some instructions, and led his entire guild away from the fight. The other guilds looked absolutely dumbfounded. What the hell? Dragon Sovereign actually gave up on the boss's first kill? That wasn't like him at all. While a few other guild leaders debated whether to approach him for answers, Dragon Sovereign suddenly raised his voice and called out to the crowd. Asterisk asterisk Nightshade. Asterisk asterisk as of now, Dragon Sovereign Guild formally withdraws from this boss fight. Nightshade. The name threw everyone into confusion. Who was this high-level player who came out of nowhere? Meanwhile, the rest of the players erupted in emotional outbursts. So his name's Nightshade. You better hope I don't catch you. If he can stealth indefinitely, he's definitely using hacks. Buddy, is your cheat system working solid? Man, Dragon Sovereign is spineless. Bowing to a solo player like that. I ignored their chatter entirely. However, Dragon Sovereign's actions did make me smile. Yep, That's the Dragon Sovereign I know, sharp, decisive, and willing to compromise when it counts. By revealing my name, it might seem like he was throwing me under the bus, but in reality, it was a gesture of goodwill, a way to show he didn't intend to challenge me. I didn't mind. After all, once I got the first kill on this boss, my ID would be revealed anyway. With that thought in mind, I launched another shadow throwing knife. Dash 976. Weak point attack, asterisk asterisk. The rabbit boss's health bar dwindled even further. Meanwhile, the players still lingering at my last known position turned green in the face as they realized I'd already attacked from a completely different angle. Trying to camp a stealthy assassin who can stay invisible indefinitely? What a joke. Some solo players finally started backing off, grumbling that it wasn't worth the trouble. But, of course, not everyone knew when to quit. A hulking brute, his ID reading Resetsa 1/, roared. You think being invisible makes you untouchable? Get him out in the open for me. Whoosh. Boom. Asterisk asterisk. A signal flare shot into the sky, bursting into a blinding flash of light. Illuminating flare. Every stealth user's worst nightmare. Well, looks like someone here actually knows how to play, I thought to myself, but stayed cool under pressure. Illuminating flare might counteract stealth, but that depends on the rank and tier. My shadow stealth is black iron tier. Your basic tier, flare, unless it's upgraded to at least level 4, is nothing more than a glorified flashlight to me. Sure enough, as the bright light faded, all it managed to do was blind everyone like they'd stared at the sun. It achieved absolutely nothing. That smug smirk on Rakshasa/'s face froze in an instant. The archer standing next to him was even more shocked, shouting loudly. How the heck did it not reveal him? My flare is already level 3. This guy's definitely hacking. I couldn't help but give a slight nod of respect to that archer. Reaching level 3 on a skill in such a short time since the server opened, he must have gotten pretty lucky with some fortuitous encounters. But so what? The difference in tier isn't something mere levels can overcome. This whole ordeal also served as a reminder to me. Just because I've been reincarnated doesn't mean I should underestimate the heroes of this world. Ignoring that clown of a swordsman, I turned my focus back to the boss. It was more important to deal damage. I hadn't reached the 50% damage threshold yet, and I couldn't afford to waste time. Realizing I wasn't paying any attention to him, Rakshasa/ turned so red from frustration it looked like his head might explode, but there wasn't a single thing he could do about it. Not far off, Rising Dragon Guild's leader, Dragon Treading Heavens, observed everything clearly from the sidelines. His evaluation of me rose yet again. Resisting a level 3 flare? This, Night Wanderer, is truly unfathomable. Even his teammates seemed to fully acknowledge the gap between us. With Night Wanderer here, they knew they didn't stand a chance. Rakshasa/, however, wasn't ready to give up. He ordered his crew to fire off a few more flares, but it was all in vain. Meanwhile, I leisurely landed several more hits on the boss. Rakshasa/ was conflicted. The good news? I hadn't killed him outright. The bad news? My complete disregard for him stung worse than death. Seeing this, several guilds who'd been waiting for an opening finally gave up. This boss isn't worth it. Watercloud Pavilion, withdraw. *** Wanderer's Haven ***. Quit while we're ahead. Back out. One by one, the major guilds retreated, eliciting cheers from independent players. Before this, when had solo players ever had a chance against big guilds for boss fights? But today, Night Wanderer, a lone wolf, had single-handedly forced back multiple major guilds. Of course, there were still some dissenters. Come on, brothers. Don't chicken out. His skills have cooldowns. If we all charge in together, who knows where the loot will end up? Some players, convinced by the rabble-rousing, began a chaotic attack on the boss once again. Back in Rising Dragon's camp, their healer Lil Snow suggested, Guildmaster, should we help him out? Maybe earn some goodwill. Dragon Treading Heavens thought for a moment and shook his head. No need. He's more than enough on his own. And as expected, things played out just as he had predicted. The damage from those independent players wasn't even significant enough to be called scratching the surface. Meanwhile, my attacks continued at a stable pace. *976. Weak spot hit. *976. Weak spot hit. *976. Weak spot hit. He hit the weak spot every single time, stammered the rising dragon archer, practically trembling. This guy? In real life, he must be an elite throwing expert. I have a custom bow setup, and I'm still not this accurate. Time ticked on. 5 minutes later, my total damage had reached an astonishing 26,352 points, which accounted for more than 50% of the boss's total health. Ding! The system notification chimed. Congratulations, you have secured ownership of the boss's loot. With loot rights officially locked in, the remaining players lost interest and began to retreat. As the crowd thinned out, the rabbit boss, now lacking any other targets to vent its fury on, fixed its crimson eyes firmly in my direction. While it couldn't see through my stealth state, it had managed to pinpoint my position every time I attacked. Letting out an enraged squeal, it leapt high into the air, attempting to crush me like an annoying fly. From afar, Rakshasa silently cheered for the boss. Jump. Yes, exactly. Smash that show-off into the ground. He was convinced that, now the cannon fodder had dispersed and the boss's rage had been focused solely on me, there was no way I could hold out for long. But naturally, his optimism was misplaced. My attacks continued to land methodically. 976. 976. The boss's berserk leaps and shockwave-inducing smashes seemed utterly inconsequential to me. Some sharper players in the audience were quick to notice something unusual. Wait a minute. Why is Night Wanderer so fast? That rabbit boss can leap at least 10 meters at a time, and its landing releases a shockwave that's unavoidable unless you're far enough away. How the hell is he evading everything? Could his agility stat be over 30 already? Is that even possible at this level? Don't forget, he's using a hidden class. His stat growth is probably different. I'm in a hidden class too, and I've got an S-tier trait that grants 3 bonus stat points every level. Even if I dumped all my points into agility, there's no way I'd have over 30 at level 3. Unless his hidden class is even stronger. Or he has top-tier equipment. I remember now. Back at the hunter's spot, there was a player who got something from an NPC and even went into stealth. There's an 80 or 90% chance it's him. I'm seriously starting to think Night Stalker is a Dev's planted agent. Listening to their speculations, I was utterly stunned. These people's imaginations were wild, yet by chance, they're not far from the truth. There are really hidden prodigies among players. Never underestimate anyone. I sighed to myself, my hands still moving as another cast of shadow throwing knife precisely embedded into the wild rabbit boss' other eye. 976. Critical weak point hit. The boss let out a wail and lunged at my previous position, kicking up a cloud of dust. The resulting shockwave's sheer force was enough to one-shot any glass cannon class. But by this point, I was already no longer there. With an agility stat of 37, I had already started moving the moment I attacked, cleanly avoiding the shockwave's range with ease. My stats still aren't high enough. Once this boss goes down, I need to level up to 5 ASAP. As for the evolution points this time, I'll hold on to them and keep pumping Shadow Sneak. With all this commotion today, the guilds will definitely try to push for training more ranged classes. A mere black iron level stealth isn't going to cut it. Finally, after enduring countless piercing eye hits, the wild rabbit boss fell with an unwilling cry, dropping a pile of light orbs across the ground. The surrounding players were practically drooling with greed, but no one dared approach. Still, that didn't stop many from inching closer, ready to gang up on me and take me out while I was looting the drops. In their view, I was clearly a full agility assassin, low health and an easy kill with a coordinated group attack. If we can't snag the boss loot, at least taking you down should be worth it, right? Of course, I was fully aware of their little schemes, but didn't pay them any mind. Because by then, a flood of system prompts had already filled my screen. You have killed a Black Iron tier boss and gained 3,000 EXP. This kill qualifies as the first on the server. Bonus rewards: 20 free attribute points, 1 skill point, 10 fame points. You have reached level 4. You have gained 5 free attribute points. The power of shadows converges. You are awarded 5 additional free attribute points. Beast's Blessing is activated. Gain 5 additional free attribute points. Hunting Hour activated. You've gained 1 evolution point. 35 free attribute points in total. Without hesitation, I allocated all of them to agility. In an instant, my stat sheet was completely overhauled. Agility, 74. Even at level 10, this value could be considered high, and yet I was only level 4. As for that single evolution point, I passed on upgrading Shadow Throwing Knife and instead chose to continue enhancing Shadow Sneak. Survival was the ultimate priority. Server-wide announcement for the first kill detected. Would you like to hide your player name? No. Server-wide announcement. Congratulations to Night Stalker for achieving the server's first kill on the Black Iron Tier boss, Giant Wild Rabbit. Keep up the great work, players. The announcement caused an uproar across the beginner village. Meanwhile, I turned my attention back to the boss loot. For pieces of gear and a skill book, it was a jackpot. Especially the skill book. I couldn't take my eyes off of it. Just then, I received a private message from Dragon Soars the Skies. Night Stalker, if there's loot you don't need, sell it to me. I'll offer a price you can't refuse. I wasn't surprised. I knew my rival and friend from my past life well enough. Sure, I replied. He agreed. Dragon Soars the Skies exclaimed in his squad chat, ecstatic. Told you, didn't I? Night Stalker may seem aloof, but he's not unreasonable. Guildmaster, now that I think about it, choosing the assassin class was a stroke of genius for him. If he'd gone archer, there's no way he'd have snagged the kill on this boss today. Exactly. An assassin with long-range proficiency? Who can guard against that? We're stuck on the first floor, and he's already breezed through the fifth. As they discussed in hushed excitement, elsewhere, a player noticed the disappearing light orbs. He's looting the drops. Quick, use AoE skills to flush him out. No matter how high his agility, he's got to be squishy. Focus fire, and he's done for. In an instant, a barrage of skills and flashing blades rained down upon the spot where the orbs had been. For the old me, such a situation might have been bothersome. But now, 74 agility. By the time I picked up the last piece of loot, my figure had already flickered to a spot over 10 meters away. And by the time their attacks landed, I was already 50 meters out. Looks like I'm still too soft-hearted. My gaze turned steely as I flicked a Shadow Throwing Knife, effortlessly, instantly taking out the loudest player from earlier. Thud! That player collapsed with a straight fall, while the surrounding crowd drew back in fear. It's the Night Stalker. He's made his move. Damn, how did he get so far already? That speed. His agility must be at least 50 points. It must have been the first kill reward. We underestimated him. The guy who got one shot is from the Rakshasa Hall Guild. Looks like Rakshasa 1/ is still unwilling to give up. From a distance, Rakshasa 1/ turned pale and shouted hurriedly, I don't know him. He's not part of our guild. However, a few seconds later, a throwing knife silently appeared, piercing straight through his throat with surgical precision. At the same time, my voice echoed in the air. From now on, I don't want to see anyone from Rakshasa Hall near a world boss. See one, kill one. If you're going to make a statement, make it absolute. Rakshasa 1/'s death sent a clear message to everyone. If the Night Stalker wants you dead, there's no escaping it. With the nuisance cleared, I finally had time to check out today's spoils. First, the skill book. Rend Iron Tier. Passive skill. When dealing damage, causes wounds to bleed, dealing an additional attack power asterisk 20% plus 20 damage per second for 3 seconds. Asterisk asterisk. A god tier physical damage skill. The most intriguing part is whether this DOT, damage over time, effect benefits from Sniper God S bonuses. If it does, I instantly learn the skill from the book and then turn my attention to the equipment in my inventory. First up, a dagger shaped like a rabbit fang. Rabbit Fang Dagger, Iron Tier. Attack power plus 50, agility plus 5. Equip requirement, level 5, asterisk asterisk. A rare find. Once I hit level 5, paired with Sniper God, my DPS will explode to new heights. Next, a piece of leather armor. Wild Rabbit Leather Armor, Iron Tier. Defense plus 20, HP plus 200. Equip requirement, level 5, asterisk asterisk. Perfect for shoring up my weak constitution. A must keep. Lastly, a longbow. Rabbit Sinew Longbow, Iron Tier. Attack power plus 50, agility plus 5. Equip requirement, level 5, asterisk asterisk. This bow isn't much use to me, but the Dragon Ascension Guild happens to have an archer. A faint smile tugged at my lips. Though in the late stages of the game, everyone will be multi-talented, tanks wearing plate armor while swinging hammers and screaming peace through righteousness. For now, Apocalypse is still just a game with rigid class restrictions. As much as I'd like to dual-wield the Rabbit Fang Dagger and Rabbit Sinew Longbow to wreak havoc, the system doesn't allow it. Sure, I could keep the longbow and sell the dagger, but honestly, lurking in the shadows and yeeting throwing knives? That's the way to go. Refocusing, I examined the final piece of loot. Rabbit Bone Shield, Iron Tier. Defense plus 50, HP plus 100, Strength plus 5. Equip requirement, level 5, asterisk asterisk. I snapped a screenshot of the shield's attributes and sent it to a player named Dragon Ascension. A second later, my private messages blew up. Name your price, boss. Come on, say something. Bro, you're my actual bro now? Please save this for me. I almost laughed out loud. Same old Dragon Ascension, decent morals, but only to a point. I casually replied, gold coins. How much do you have? Right now, I didn't need cash. What I did need was in-game gold, which is crucial for a hidden quest I'm working on. Dragon Ascension immediately got to work. Boss, we've set the exchange rate at 1 copper equals 5 Flame Nation dollars. We've managed to collect 15 gold so far, costing us 750,000 Flame Nation dollars. Increase the push. Boss, Night Stalker just sent over the Rabbit Sinew Longbow's attribute screenshot. Dragon Ascension glanced at it and made an instant decision. Buy it all. Snow, pull out all the stops to gather more gold. Money is not an issue. Not long after, he reached out to butter me up. Night Stalker, I've got 15 gold right now. At most, we might gather 40 gold in total. What do you think? I did the math. 40 gold equates to 2 million Flame Nation dollars. And given that several guilds were in a bidding war, the price would only climb. After a moment of thought, I responded, one price. 30 gold for both items. Without hesitation, Dragon Ascension replied instantly, deal. For him, spending a little over 1 million to make his party significantly stronger and forge a relationship with me was a no-brainer. With Night Stalker on our side, the Dragon Ascension dynasty will undoubtedly reign as the top guild in Apocalypse. While Dragon Ascension was riding high, the leaders of other guilds were practically pulling their hair out. They tried adding me as a friend, but I didn't accept. All they could do was sit idly by, watching Dragon Ascension put on a show. Ugh, I can't get through to Night Stalker either. What now? He grimaced, then casually raised the price for buying gold coins yet again. Hiding in the shadows, I almost burst out laughing. This guy, what a drama king. I wasn't interested in playing their auction games. 30 gold coins were enough to unlock the quest. I'd rather use my time to level up. While waiting for the trade, I used the 1 skill point I got from the first kill reward on Shadow Stealth. Shadow Stealth LV2, Iron Rank. Breaking Stealth deals additional damage. Attack power asterisk 120% plus 100. Cooldown, 18 seconds. With the level up, the fixed damage increased, and with the bonus from Sniper God, my burst damage climbed to a new tier. Soon enough, Dragon Swords reached 30 gold coins, and we completed the trade. Boss, if you come across any more good stuff, hit me up anytime. I'll make sure to give you a price you're happy with. I casually replied with a sure, then turned and headed deeper into the wilderness. But this time, my destination wasn't the Wild Boar Plains. My damage had surpassed what was needed there. I was heading to a better spot, where level 10 elite mobs roamed, full of rich experience, and a high-tier silver-level boss awaited me. North of the starter village, Granite Hills. This place is treacherous, with strong monsters and dangerous paths, barely visited by anyone. As I drew near, I heard heavy, pounding footsteps. Granite Giant, Elite. Level, 10. HP, 3,500. Defense, 400. Its defense surpassed even the Wild Rabbit boss, and its HP was over double that. For an average player, this thing was a nightmare. But for me, it was a ticket to farming the boss. You needed to defeat 100 elite giants and solo them to activate the silver-level boss here. Let's test the damage on Rupture. I spotted a lone giant and launched a shadow-throwing dagger. Minus 1,590. Weak point hit. The giant roared, unable to locate its attacker, and began flinging rocks randomly around. Meanwhile, 3 successive damage numbers floated up from its body. -120, -120, -120. It worked. The damage from Rupture perfectly benefited from Sniper God's boost. One shadow throwing dagger, plus the damage over time from Rupture, totaled up to a whopping 1950 damage. 2 shots, and it's down. Once the cooldown was over, I struck again. Boom! The giant's massive body crumbled to the ground, leaving a shabby pile of rubble. Ding! You have killed level 10 Granite Giant and earned 240 experience. No doubt about it, elite mobs give fantastic XP. Ding! You've reached level 5. I spent all 15 free stat points on agility and equipped the newly acquired Rabbit Fang Dagger and Wild Rabbit Leather Armor. Username, Night Wanderer. Level 5. Agility, 96. Attack, 64. HP, 390. My stats skyrocketed. After quickly doing some calculations, I realized that at a distance of 50 meters, my current burst damage could reach an insane 3,273 points in total. Too bad. I can't one-shot the Granite Giants with a single throwing dagger yet. Clicking my tongue in mild regret, I couldn't help but feel a little unsatisfied. If other players who were still locked in epic battles with wild boars heard me, they'd probably report me on the spot. Level 5, over 3,000 damage. What more do you want? Even though it still took me 2 strikes per kill, I wasn't in a rush. Let's not forget, I had one final trick up my sleeve, the Beast Skull item. I'd been saving an evolution point for just this moment. Ding! Killed level 10 Granite Giant. You have reached level 7. You've gained 5 bonus stat points. Hunting mode activated. You've earned 1 evolution point. It's finally here. With the 1 point I'd saved up, I now had enough for a secondary evolution of Shadow Stealth. Evolving Shadow Stealth will consume 2 evolution points. Proceed. Yes. Ding. Shadow Stealth has evolved. Rank upgraded. Iron Bronze. Shadow Stealth LV2, Bronze rank. Enter Stealth state. Breaking Stealth deals additional damage. Attack power asterisk 140% plus 400. Consumes 5 mana. Cooldown 16 seconds. The damage skyrocketed. I locked my sights on a giant zoning out in the distance. In the blink of an eye, shadow energy condensed into a throwing knife, slicing through the air with a whistle. -6,356. Weak point hit. Before, my full burst combo barely hit 3,000 damage. Now, after Shadow Stealth evolved to Bronze, just the initial strike alone brought over 6,300 damage. One shot, insta-kill. Even bleed damage over time skill was pretty much useless this round. I emerged from the shadows, deep in thought. Rookie mistake. If I had known better, I would have sold that bleed skill book to Dragon Soars to the Heavens for, what, 5 million yen? That deal would have been a no-brainer. Of course, that idea is purely wishful thinking now. Right now, the high damage is thanks to the skill's flat damage bonus. But in the later stages of the game, percentage-based damage from a skill like Bleed will become the real god-tier ability. One more level ought to do it. That should be enough to activate the boss. I couldn't help but feel an excited anticipation building. Soloing a silver-tier boss? Back in my past life, such a thing was completely unthinkable during the newbie village phase. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, Dragon Soars to the Heavens was sitting on a rock, staring into the distance in a The Thinker pose. Where on earth is Night Reaper leveling up? He sighed, gazing up at the sky. In the blink of an eye, he's already level 7? The squad chat went dead silent. This elite group, comprised entirely of hidden class players, had been painstakingly grinding wild boars for hours just to collectively reach level 2. They thought their pace was fairly impressive, until now. Meanwhile, on the other side of the server, someone was already level 7. The assassin in the squad couldn't help but grumble. I've got this feeling, by the time we hit level 5, Night Reaper's probably already solo cleared some new boss and is decked out in shiny new gear. The archer, however, was oddly enthusiastic. Here's hoping he drops another longbow upgrade. Dragon Soars to the Heavens just facepalmed in exasperation. Brushing the dirt off, he stood up and said, "Let's keep grinding." Asterisk crit. Dash 6356. Asterisk. Asterisk crit. Dash 6356. Asterisk. Every single attack of mine took another granite giant to its knees. Not even a level 10 elite mob could lift a hand to retaliate in front of me. Asterisk ding. You've defeated a level 10 granite giant. Asterisk. Asterisk, congratulations, you've reached level 8. Asterisk. I immediately allocated all my new stat points to agility, then opened my stats window for a quick glance. Agility, 145. A grin crept across my face. At this speed, not even something as famously swift as the Wolf King could escape from my grasp. But just then, a strange tremor underfoot grew stronger, and the glowing patterns of a mysterious ritual circle on the ground began to form. The Granite Lord was waking up. Before I could make a move, my private chat box blinked. It was Dragon Soars to the Heavens. Night Reaper, are you at Granite Hills? Rakshasa Blade Slash is leading some people over to your location. Not exactly surprising. With Rakshasa Blade Slash's notorious vindictiveness, of course he had to come back for revenge. Dragon Soars to the Heavens followed up with another message. Word is, he managed to get his hands on a scroll. No idea what it does, though. That made everything click instantly. Ah, so that's what's going on. Makes sense now. With that particular item, even high-level assassins aren't completely safe from detection. I replied, cool as ever. Let me guess. Rakshasa Blade Slash probably gave some dramatic speech back at the newbie village about how he's going to pull off an epic revenge kill in front of a crowd, right? Dragon Soars to the Heavens was dumbstruck. How? How did Night Reaper even know about that? If they'd already fought previously, there's no way Rakshasa Blade Slash came back just to die again. He might be reckless, but the guy isn't outright dumb. After a moment of contemplation, Dragon Soars to the Heavens offered. Do you need backup? Say the word. Dragon Empire's got your back without question. I shot back. No need. Let your team keep grinding. Then, after a brief pause, I messaged him again. Start gathering some cash. I might be selling equipment soon, but this time I want real-world yen currency. The loot from a silver tier boss, using in-game gold alone, wouldn't even come close to covering its worth. You'd probably have to drain the entire newbie village economy just to put a dent in its value. About time to start leveling up my lifestyle. You're fighting the boss? Dragon Soars to the Heavens caught on immediately. Almost. If you're curious, feel free to come to Granite Hills to watch the show. Just don't get too close. On our way. Enough wild boar farming. Let's go watch some fireworks. Dragon Soars to the Heavens called out into the team channel. Wait, Night Reaper's taking on Rakshasa Blade Slash head-on. No. The fact that the boss just invited us to spectate means he's ridiculously confident, which means Night Reaper got even stronger. Obviously. Speaking of which, what the actual? He's level 8 now? The whole squad stood there, dumbfounded. What was this madness? Before setting off, Dragon Soars to the Heavens turned to Snowy and asked, how much cash do we currently have on hand? Just under 200 million. Night Reaper said he might have gear for sale. Cash only. Snowy reflected for a moment. Granite Hills is crawling with elite mobs, and the bosses there are at a minimum bronze tier. Because the current in-game gold supply is so limited, converting to real-world currency for trades actually makes financial sense. Dragon Soars to the Heavens shook his head in disagreement. The bosses there are probably stronger than bronze. The only reason he'd ask for cash is if the loot's silver tier level, at least. The assassin and archer audibly sucked in a breath of air. A silver tier boss? That's like the in-game equivalent of spanking toddlers left and right with sledgehammers. At Newbie Village 9527, the crowd was going wild. Rakshasa One Blade raised his arms high and shouted, vowing to represent all players in taking down Night Wanderer, the so-called villain. True to the spirit of enjoying the drama, hundreds of players followed him in a mighty procession. Rakshasa One Blade grew even more full of himself. This is the will of the people. Night Wanderer, you've run roughshod for too long. Your defeat is inevitable. Granite Hills. *T. What kind of monster is this? Even 10 of me wouldn't last one punch. Night Wanderer's grinding in this crazy place? Rakshasa One Blade's really bitten off more than he can chew this time. When the Dragon Soar squad arrived, they happened to witness Rakshasa One Blade being chased all over the place by a granite giant, looking utterly comical. Night Wanderer, get out here and face me. After burning through the frantic healing efforts of over a dozen priests, Rakshasa One Blade finally managed to take down the giant, only to unleash his fury at empty air. Instead of a flying dagger targeting him, he saw, off in the distance, another granite giant suddenly drop dead on the spot. At the same time, the earth began to shake violently. Fools, daring to disturb the slumber of Lord Amos. I will crush you. With an enraged roar, a massive 20-meter-tall boss, entirely composed of black obsidian-like rock, came bursting out from beneath the cliffs. Amos, Obsidian Overlord, Silver Tier. Level 10. HP 400,000. Attack 2,000. Defense 3,000. Holy, it's huge. A Silver Tier boss. Charge. Take it down and grab the loot. The crowd of players charged hysterically, oblivious to the boss's stats. Meanwhile, I had long since entered stealth. Hidden in the shadows, I aimed carefully and unleashed my shadow dagger. Target, the weak spot in the boss's abdomen. Minus 6,356. Critical weak spot. The next moment, Ren took effect. Minus 164. Minus 164. Minus 164. In mere seconds, I had dealt almost 7,000 damage with my combo. Give me 20 minutes, and I can solo this thing. Not far away, the Dragon Source squad stood shell-shocked. Did I just calculate that right? Did Night Wanderer just drop over 6,000 HP in one hit? Dragon Soar World blurted out, swearing in disbelief. Xiao Shui adjusted her imaginary glasses and corrected. To be precise, he dealt 6,356 damage in the first hit, followed by 3 ticks of over 100 damage each. Altogether, that's nearly 7,000 damage. The sharpshooter maintained his air of calm superiority, nodding faintly. As expected of my rival. A performance like this is only natural. The assassin beside him immediately covered his eyes. He's lost it. The poor guy's been shattered emotionally. Are we even playing the same game? The gap is just insane. While I poured out relentless damage, Rakshasa One Blade was spiraling into despair. From his vantage point, he could clearly see the previously untouchable boss's health rapidly disappearing under my assault. Opposing Night Wanderer might have been my biggest mistake. Regret seeped into his thoughts. But with all the bravado he had already put on display, it was too late to backtrack. At that moment, his vision went dark. A massive boulder several meters wide fell from the sky and slammed into the ground. Boom. By using a damage-sharing skill, Rakshasa One Blade survived, but his entire party was wiped out. Resolutely, he tore open a scroll. The gaze of the God of Light focuses here. All that is hidden in shadow shall be revealed. A mysterious power enveloped the entire granite hills. After using the scroll, Rakshasa One Blade was quickly sent back to the respawn point by the boss. But he didn't seem to care. Night Wanderer, once you're dead, just prepare to delete your character. At the respawn point, he had already laid an inescapable trap, patiently awaiting my return. The gaze of the God of Light, Iron Tier. Also known as the Reveal Scroll. The name sounds impressive, but in reality, it's a useless item meant to scam newbies. Sure, it has the ability to break stealth, but only against skills below Bronze Tier. My Shadow Stealth, however, had already been upgraded to Bronze. Night Wanderer run. Dragon Soar World messaged me anxiously, pleading for me to wait out the scroll's duration before finishing the boss later. I ignored him. A second later, another chunk of the boss's HP bar disappeared. Another 6,000 plus damage stood out vividly. Dragon Soar World fell silent. Night Wanderer's stealth is Bronze Tier. After a long pause, he let out a sorrowful sigh. Rakshasa One Blade just wasted 2 million in the most miserable way possible. Amos was furious. It could sense the presence of that infuriating insect nearby, but couldn't catch it no matter how hard it tried. Driven to rage, it began launching indiscriminate attacks. Boulders rained down like a meteor shower, turning the entire granite hills into a war zone where the ground was torn apart. In the chaos, curious onlookers dropped like flies. As for me, I stayed safely entrenched in stealth, continuing my concentrated assault, dodging through the cracks of the rock like a dancer on the edge of a blade. Each strike shaved off over 6,000 health from the boss. How much have you prepared? Amid the cool down of my skills, I sent Dragon Soar's Heaven Lungtitan Sha. A quick message. Within a small financial goal, ready to transfer anytime. Dragon Soars Heaven was probably speechless at this point. Soloing a silver grade boss, while still having the leisure to chat about equipment? That mindset was something he couldn't match. 20 minutes later, atop the corpses of countless players who had thrown themselves into the fray, Amos, the Obsidian Lord, collapsed with endless rage and frustration. His black, rocky body shattered into countless pieces. Amid the swirling dust, several clusters of dazzling silver light floated silently in the air. And within that silvery radiance was a flash of brilliant gold. My heart skipped a beat. A jackpot. A massive jackpot. An over-tiered golden-grade loot had dropped. As the boss fell with a thundering crash, the notification sounds from the system exploded in my ears like a cascade of ringing bells. You have slain a silver-grade boss, gaining 20,000 XP. This kill qualifies for the server's first boss kill, awarding you an additional 50 free attribute points, 5 skill points, and 50 renown. You have reached level 9. You have reached level 10. 2 levels in one go, right on the spot. A notification of this first kill will be broadcast across the entire server. Would you like to hide your name? No. Player, Night Wanderer, has claimed the first kill of the silver grade boss, Obsidian Lord Amos. All players, keep up the good work. You are the first player to reach level 10. A server notification is in progress. Would you like to hide your name? No. Player, Night Wanderer, is the first to reach level 10, unlocking the level leaderboard. All players, press on and strive. I allocated all 80 free attribute points into agility. My total instantly exceeded 200. I am the wind, the man who moves like the wind. And then came the moment to inspect my loot. First, that brilliant flash of gold. Decoy Scarecrow, golden grade item absorbs a lethal attack on behalf of the owner and teleports the owner to a designated safe area. Uses 1/1. It's this thing. In the game phase, it might seem a bit niche. But when Apocalypse merges with reality, death will mean a permanent end. By then, this item would be equivalent to having an extra life. Just for this single item, Amos' death was worth it. I happily stowed away the Decoy Scarecrow and turned my attention to the rest of the loot. A silver grade plate armor and a magic user necklace, neither of which I could use. I quickly took screenshots of their stats and sent them to Dragon Soars Heaven, earning another shower of praises about being such a good friend. The remaining loot consisted of a Heart of the Mountain ring that adds 3,000 shield points, perfect for survival. A Stone of Might that permanently increases strength by 20 points. I used it instantly. And lastly, Guild Token, silver grade item, can be used at the city's official to establish a guild with up to 1,000 members. The first guild token in the entire server. The value of this item would drive every major guild insane. In my previous life, the very first guild token sold for more than 30 million national currency. However, I wasn't planning to use it to establish a guild just yet. I had other plans for it. After sorting through the loot, I noticed a message from Dragon Soars Heaven. From initial excitement to growing anxiety to utter hopelessness, judging by his texts, his emotions were all over the place. I replied simply, I was busy earlier. Dragon Soars Heaven, somewhere far away, suddenly came back to life, energized to the max. Soon after, he sent me a pricing offer. Your chief advisor probably gave you 2 options. I'll take the second one, I responded. Dragon Soars Heaven was silent. He was likely questioning his life choices, wondering how I was so familiar with his plans. In the end, we sealed the deal at 5 million national currency along with 2 advanced range skill books. Once I heard the notification confirming funds in my virtual account, I traded the 2 pieces of gear to him. Meanwhile, back at the respawn point, Roxasa 1/ stood there, his frustration growing by the second. He had been camping at the revive zone for a long while, casting skill after skill, only to fuel public outrage without even catching a glimpse of me. The silver grade boss? Its health was steadily depleting. His trump card, the supposedly ultimate detection skill called Divine Gaze of Light, turned out to be a joke. Worse still, his indiscriminate attacks had infuriated all the regular players in the area. What kind of trash guild is this? Can't handle Night Wanderer, so you're taking it out on the rest of us? Screw this. Let's take this scumbag guild down. Led by a few hot-headed players, the Anti-Roxaso Alliance was formed on the spot, turning the respawn point into a chaotic war zone. The reputation of Roxasa Hall was utterly annihilated. It had become the enemy of all. That guy mentioned in the chat that Demon Cutter got ambushed by his enemy guild at the respawn point and got spawn killed repeatedly. Eventually, he got so mad he rage quit by pulling the plug. I nearly laughed out loud. Serves him right. That's what you get for messing with me. But honestly, someone like that, not even worth batting an eye at. After taking down Amos, I didn't leave immediately. Instead, I walked straight to the edge of the cliff. The shattered remains of the boss's body were slowly sinking into the ground, leaving a deep, bottomless pit behind. This is it. Without hesitation, I jumped down the slope with a few quick, nimble leaps and landed steadily on a platform below the cliff. A cave appeared before me, its entrance shrouded in a translucent barrier. Honestly, if I hadn't known beforehand, who would have guessed there was a dungeon hidden in this mess of wild grass? As soon as my hand touched the barrier, the system notification dinged. Ding! You are the first to discover the hidden dungeon. A server-wide announcement will be made. Do you want to hide your username? Hide it. What a joke. I want everyone to know exactly what the name Night Wanderer stands for. No. The next second, my name was splattered across the entire server. Player Night Wanderer has discovered the hidden dungeon Crimson Crypt beneath the cliff. All players are encouraged to explore. The world chat exploded instantly. Holy crap, it's Night Wanderer again. Figures. Does this guy live inside the game or something? Hidden dungeon, folks. This is our golden ticket. Team up. Coordinates, Granite Hills. Move it. The entire newbie town went into a frenzy. Everyone abandoned whatever they were doing and dashed over like a tidal wave. And then, a private message from Dragon Rain popped up. Night Wanderer. Is the dungeon near the boss's spot? This guy's quick on the uptake. I didn't see the need to lie. Yeah, it's at Amos's location. Just jump down. But take my advice. If you're not at level 10 and your gear isn't up to par, don't bother coming to die. Got it. Thanks. Dragon Rain replied, clearly appreciative. We're heading out to level up first. After that, he really did turn his team around and leave. This guy? Yeah, he's got potential. Unlike some others. Mention dungeon, and they go rabid like a pack of dogs spotting a bone, rushing in without a second thought. It didn't take long to see the fallout. The world chat was filled with wails and complaints. What kind of trash dungeon is this? Even the regular mobs can one-shot us. Devs, are you awake? Unbelievable. We went in with a 5-man team and got wiped in 3 seconds. How is this playable? Is there any pro who's cleared this? Please share a guide. Heh, a bunch of idiots. I hadn't even set foot inside that dungeon myself. Truth be told, if it weren't for that hidden quest chain, I might have gone in to farm it already. But not now, the timing's not right. I know exactly how difficult this dungeon is. For these players, the so-called normal mode is the best they can hope for. And, well, the real fun hasn't even started yet. I turned and made my way toward Wild Wolf Ridge, my target locked, the Wolf King. On the way, another thought crossed my mind. When the apocalypse fully integrates and death starts reflecting into the real world, that scum Demon Cutter is a dead man. I'm not someone who holds grudges because, honestly, I prefer settling scores immediately. But for someone as vile as him, keeping him around is just asking for trouble. When the time comes, I won't hesitate to deliver justice myself. Clearing these thoughts from my mind, I soon arrived at Wild Wolf Ridge. Thanks to my absurdly high agility, I moved like the wind. In stealth mode, the wild wolves along the way didn't even have time to react before I took them down with a single flying knife. The experience points might be temporarily capped, but evolution points? Those are the real deal. Can't mess around in special mode. Let's spend some skill points first. Opening up the skill panel, I dumped all 5 skill points I earned from killing Amos into Shadow Stealth, without hesitation. Ding. Shadow Stealth skill upgraded. LV2, LV3. Ding. Shadow Stealth skill upgraded. LV3, LV4. Shadow Stealth LV4. Break stealth to deal bonus damage equal to attack power asterisk 140% plus 800 dot. A flat increase of 400 damage. Don't underestimate this 400 points. With my talent and weak point attack multipliers stacking up, the final damage output is going to be astronomical. breaking 5 digits? It's happening today. Just as I was thinking this, a blood-curdling wolf howl shattered the forest's eerie silence. I turned toward the sound and couldn't help but laugh. The Wolf King was running for its life, tail tucked between its legs like some pathetic stray mutt. Just as one of its elite wolves tried to shield it, I landed a single blow. Thud! It collapsed on the spot. That was me. The Wolf King didn't even dare to glance back. Bleeding in a mix of panic and despair, it picked up the pace. After taking another one of my flying knives, it completely caved, didn't even open its mouth to cry anymore, just kept its head down and bolted. Watching the direction it was fleeing, I nodded in satisfaction. This thing's got decent instincts. Realization dawned. It instinctually knew to flee toward the north, toward the granite hills. Right, it planned to lead me, its unbeatable enemy, directly to its other nemesis, the Vampire Baron in the Crimson Crypt. What the hell? Look over there. Isn't that the boss from Wild Wolf Slope? The one-eyed Wolf King? Why is it here with such low health? Hurry up, kill it, and take the loot. A group of players at the dungeon entrance stirred in excitement, ready to snatch an easy victory. But one unfortunate player who rushed in first was instantly sent back to the respawn point with a single swipe from the Wolf King. Roar! The Wolf King, already fuming with suppressed fury, let loose its rage when it saw a group of weaklings dare to provoke it. It dove straight into the players, unleashing chaos and carnage. Watching this unfold from the shadows, I frowned deeply. Are you out of your damn mind? Get your ass into the dungeon already. I flicked a throwing knife, carefully avoiding any vitals. 4600. The excruciating pain snapped the Wolf King back to its senses. It realized that the shadowy Reaper had no intention of letting it off the hook. Pure survival instinct combined with its enmity toward vampires drove it to a last-ditch decision. With a powerful leap, it dove into the shimmering, translucent dungeon entrance without hesitation. The next instant, a sinister, enraged voice echoed across the granite hills. You filthy beast! Where the hell are you biting? Simultaneously, the entrance to the Crimson Crypt was dyed blood red, and an ominous aura began to spread. All the players battling hard inside the dungeon received the same system notification. The slumbering Vampire Baron has been awakened. His wrath now permeates the entire Crimson Crypt. Ding! Enemy attack power increased by 20%. Attack speed increased by 20%. This turned the respawn points into gatherings for outraged players venting their frustration about the game's developers. What the hell? How are we supposed to play like this? We just started making progress, and now we get hit with a game-breaking multiplier? Even Dragon's Dominion, off grinding levels elsewhere, could only muster a bitter smile when he heard the disastrous news from his team. He likely guessed that this was my handiwork. And me? I stood silently in front of the dungeon's blood-red entrance, bringing up the difficulty selection interface. Normal? Hero? King? Nightmare? I chose none of them. My focus was fixed on a new blood-red option beneath them, one just recently unlocked thanks to the Wolf King's unintentional collaboration. Special Mode, Baron's Wrath. This was my true objective. As for the first clear rewards of regular dungeons, they didn't even pique my interest. What I wanted was to unearth every buried secret of this beginner's village. Without hesitation, I selected Special Mode, Baron's Wrath. Ding! You have selected Special Mode. In this difficulty level, all enemies receive enhancements, and the final boss will undergo unpredictable transformations. Confirm. Unpredictable transformations? Now that sounded fun. Confirm. The light curtain distorted, and I stepped through. The moment I entered, the oppressive smell of blood and decay hit me, along with the hoarse and hollow howls of the Wolf King. In the dungeon's depths, an elegant, faintly mocking male voice echoed. I can smell the scent of fresh blood. So delicious. Intruders, I'll drain every last drop of your life. Come, my minions, bring them to me. Let me feast. The entire crypt seemed to come alive. Shrieks and screeches filled the air as twisted vampire thralls emerged from every corner. Thud, thud, thud. From walls, ceilings, everywhere, dozens of deformed vampire thralls crawled like rabid beasts, all rushing toward me with reckless abandon. I scanned them quickly, their stats laid bare before my eyes. 10,000 HP, close to 500 attack power, and ridiculously high defense. Outside this dungeon, they'd qualify as miniature bosses. But here, they were merely common mobs. Nightmare difficulty lived up to its name. This was going to be interesting. However, halfway through their frenzied charge, the mobs suddenly froze mid-step. Where was the intruder? They sniffed the air, clearly detecting the scent of a living human. Yet the corridor before them was empty. It clicked quickly enough, stealth. The monsters regrouped tightly, taking up defensive stances. They had evidently faced assassins before and were keenly aware that most rogue attacks were close range. Their plan was simple: wait for me to appear, then swarm and rip me to shreds. The strategy was brilliant, except for one fatal flaw. They had never encountered someone like me. A ranged assassin. -11503. Weak point hit, ***. A flash of silver streaked through the air, and one vampire thrall dropped instantly. Its monstrous health bar emptied in a single, deadly blow. Before the others could react, I faded back into stealth. The remaining thralls stood dumbfounded. They had been anticipating a melee fight. What just happened? I felt the enemy's presence for a fleeting moment, then it vanished again. But what truly baffled them was that their damn opponent, their aura, was clearly over dozens of meters away. What the hell, an assassin? Even an archer can't reach that far, can they? Roar. Roar. Finally, one of the brainless ones couldn't restrain itself any longer and lunged towards where I had been earlier, its claws swiping wildly at empty air. Completely futile. A dozen seconds later, cooldown over, another throwing knife flew through the air, taking it out. In my previous life, I never ran this dungeon because by the time I would have stumbled upon it, I had already surpassed the level cap. But I had read plenty of guides. These mobs, they're nothing but cannon fodder to me. I couldn't be bothered wasting more time on them and switched directly into slaughter mode. Throwing knife, stealth, reposition, wait for the cooldown, repeat. The whole process was smooth as flowing water. Those vampire thralls couldn't even touch my shadow. They simply fell one by one in a futile rage, converting themselves into my juicy EXP. 200 XP? Seriously? Mobs of the same level just don't cut it. I couldn't help grumbling. If the players out there who were constantly being crushed by regular mobs ever heard me say this, they'd probably rage quit on the spot. A few minutes later, the first wave of mobs was wiped out. Apart from the XP, they also dropped 2 pieces of useless white-grade gear. Not much, but better than nothing. Honestly, I didn't expect much from these small fries. I mowed through them easily, filling my inventory with trash along the way, until I finally reached the first boss. A massive vampire bat was hanging upside down from the tomb's ceiling. Blood-sucking bat, silver grade. 350,000 HP. Its stats were far inferior to Yamos. Taking a deep breath, I launched my throwing knife, while simultaneously darting off to the side like a shadowy blur. Boom. The moment I vacated my initial position, a massive black figure crashed down, shattering the stone floor into web-like cracks. Failing its first strike, the beast immediately opened its mouth to release a sharp screech. Invisible sound waves radiated outward in a wide cone, pulverizing the stone everywhere in their wake. The combo attack was quick and vicious. For an average assassin, it would have been an instant death with the first hit. Unfortunately for it, I'm far from average. Once my stealth cooldown reset, I launched another throwing knife. Boom. Another dive and screech, another miss. This dumb creature just couldn't lay a finger on me. Once its HP dropped to half, it furiously summoned a swarm of small bats, hoping to leech enough life to regenerate its health bar. But against my sheer speed, that trick was equally useless. Finally, with an aggrieved shriek, the giant bat collapsed with a heavy thud. ***Ding. You've defeated level 10 silver grade boss, Blood-Sucking Bat. Gained 20,000 XP. Gained 1 evolution point. ***. I stepped forward to claim my spoils. Blood Drinker Blade, silver grade, plus 300 attack power, plus 15 agility. Jackpot. I equipped the new weapon without hesitation, watching my attack stat skyrocket to 339. Conveniently enough, a few vampire thralls who seemed to have been alerted rushed at me, turning into perfect test dummies. With a swift motion, I hurled another knife. -18, 535. Critical hit. Weak spot, ***. Almost 20,000 damage. The thrall died instantly without even triggering the bleed effect. Damn, that felt good. With this weapon, my confidence in taking down the Vampire Baron soared. After another 10 minutes, I reached the second boss. Situated in a large, empty chamber stood two menacing gargoyle statues. Classic nonsense. Before they could put on any creepy act, I kicked things off with a throwing knife. The same damage number floated above both their heads simultaneously. Gargoyle twins, silver grade. Shared total HP of 500,000 with 70% physical damage reduction. A nightmare for any physical-oriented player. But against my true damage? That whole damage reduction concept? Laughable. Minus 220. Minus 220. True damage from the bleeding effect began to kick in. Not much, sure, but every little bit counted. The fight was entirely one-sided. After pointlessly unleashing a wave of skills, the two gargoyles were slowly whittled down, eventually crumbling into rubble. Asterisk ding. You've gained 1 evolution point. Current total, 3. Asterisk. Asterisk ding. You've gained 1 evolution point. Current total, 4. Asterisk. Twin bosses, double the evolution points. That's what I call profit. I moved forward to loot the rewards. Gargoyle Vambraces, silver grade, plus 100 defense, plus 800 HP, plus 20 strength. Requirement, strength greater than 60. Damn it, just a tad short on strength and I can't wear it. Oh well, I'll hang on to it. Bound to come in handy down the line. Just then, the ever-pretentious voice of the Vampire Baron echoed throughout the chamber. Impressive, intruder. Your strength has piqued my interest. Come to me, and I shall grant you eternal life. Eternal life? And a hidden class too? This offer was 1,000 times better than the crap that old village chief offered. It hit me instantly. That village chief? He's got to be a shady middleman skimming off the top. Damn it. I'll never share the same sky with that scamming lackey. I cursed under my breath. Fine, I made up my mind. Once I'm out of here, I'm exposing his dirty schemes. Crossing through the final corridor, I finally reached the deepest part of the Scarlet Crypt. Inside a massive and intimidating chamber, countless treasures were hidden under thick layers of cobwebs. In the center of it all was a colossal bronze coffin, suspended in midair by dozens of thick chains. The Vampire Baron. He's in there. Boom. The moment I stepped into the chamber, the stone doors behind me slammed shut with a heavy thud, cutting off my retreat. At the same time, the massive bronze coffin started to tremble violently. Ear-piercing scratching sounds came from the inside, making my scalp tingle and crawl. Crash. The coffin lid flew off with a powerful force, and a figure dressed in an immaculate suit sat up slowly. Moros reawakened, silver tier, 600,000 HP. Huh. The description may sound intimidating, but I know better. This guy? He's nothing more than the Vampire Baron's butler. Him resting here? Just a decoy. Moros leapt right out of the coffin, his cold and sinister gaze scanning the seemingly empty chamber. I stayed hidden in the shadows, not making a move just yet. This guy's got sharp senses and can teleport. He's nothing like those stupid brutes earlier. If I want to take him down, I'll need some brains. And the trick? It's right there on those stone pillars. Silently, I slipped behind one of the pillars and hurled a throwing knife with precision. It flew straight toward his chest, where his blood core was. Dash 18, 535. Weak point hit, asterisk asterisk. Dash 440. Dash 440. Dash 440. Moros disappeared instantly, reappearing exactly where I had been just moments ago. With a crazed frenzy, he lashed out with twin-bone daggers, carving a massive chunk out of the pillar where I'd once been. That's his signature move. Blink Strike, combined with Frenzied Blade Dance. Lightning fast. For any player without enough agility, it's a certain death sentence. Unfortunately for him, he's up against me. I'd already moved to another pillar. Once my stealth cooldown reset, another throwing knife was launched. Moros teleported yet again, once more slashing into the stone pillar. And so, our deadly game of hide-and-seek began. Using the dozen stone pillars for cover, I chipped away at his health slowly but surely. I couldn't help but eye the pair of daggers in his hands with a bit of greed. A weapon on par with a gold tier set? If I could get them to drop. Intruder, your skills are truly surprising. Moros finally snapped after failing to land a single blow. Let's see how you handle this. Dinner is served. With a roar, for bronze tier minions suddenly appeared by his side. A group beatdown? Nice try. But I'm not falling for that. I ignored the 4 lackeys entirely. From the beginning, my focus was solely on him, Moros. Take down the boss, and the others will crumble. Dash 18, 535. Weak point hit, asterisk asterisk. Yet another throwing knife struck true. Moros and his minions charged toward me in full force, their skills bombarding the pillars until stone chips flew everywhere. But not even a strand of my hair was touched. My fighting style is absolute cheese. Hit and run, then cloak in the shadows. Moros shouted in rage, but he was completely helpless against me. As time dragged on, Moros' HP steadily dropped lower and lower. Meanwhile, the stone pillars in the chamber were breaking apart one by one. Just as the final pillar began to crack and crumble, I unleashed my decisive blow. Master, I've failed you, Moros whispered weakly, letting out a long sigh as his body slumped to the ground. Ding! You've killed level 10 silver tier boss, Moros reawakened. You've gained 1 evolution point. Current total, 5, asterisk asterisk. And just like that, my name lit up the world channel once again. Ding! You've cleared the nightmare level dungeon, Scarlet Crypt, asterisk asterisk. This is the first clear for the server. Would you like to hide your username? Decline. Player, Night Phantom, has cleared the nightmare level dungeon, Scarlet Crypt. We hope all players strive for greater success. I knew it. He'd definitely go for the nightmare difficulty. Over at Boar Plains, Dragonsaurs looked at the announcement with a face that screamed, figures. Meanwhile, in another newbie village, a blonde-haired, blue-eyed mage was about to land the final blow on a weakened Moros. That Night Phantom guy from the east may be strong, but there's no way anyone but me will take the first clear, said Richard Son, an SSS tier talent holder, his confidence overflowing as he raised his staff. But the next second, the server-wide announcement hit. Player Night Phantom has cleared the nightmare level dungeon, Scarlet Crypt. Impossible. Richardson's heart was shaken to the core, his hand trembled, and his skill flew off target. The uncontrollable Moros instantly sprang to life, wiping out 2 of his teammates in a flash. At this moment, only one thought consumed his mind. When the national war begins, I will tear Nightwalker to shreds. I didn't have the time or care to wonder what others thought. My focus was fixed entirely on the 2 glowing loot orbs lying on the ground. 2 drops at once, both weapons. I stepped forward, picked up the gear, and I swear my breath stopped for a moment. Bone-cleaving dagger, main hand silver tier, set 1/2, asterisk asterisk. Bloodletting dagger, offhand silver tier, set 1/2, asterisk asterisk. It's a dual dagger set. I could barely believe my luck. The drop rate for this set was absurdly low. People in my past life farmed for an entire month without completing it. Set bonus 2/2, plus 200 attack power. Activates Frenzied Dash. Not only does it increase my attack power, but it also comes with a gap-closing ability. This was exactly what I needed right now. Honestly, using this strategy wasn't even in my original plan, given how much luck was involved with the drop. But since it came to me on a silver platter, how could I possibly say no? With this dagger set, my combat strength was about to reach a whole new level. I stashed the daggers away, my mood light and cheerful. Next up, it was time to confront the true boss of this dungeon. I couldn't even equip that dagger set yet, but it didn't matter. My real target was further in. The voice of the vampire baron echoed ominously, dripping with sinister allure. You've defeated Moros. Your strength impresses me. Come, join me, and let us enjoy eternal life together. A system prompt immediately followed. Hidden Branch Quest, a difficult choice. Option 1, kill the vampire baron. Reward, none. Option 2, accept the offer. Reward, special class, Crimson Assassin, lifespan plus 300 years. Huh, that reward would tempt just about anyone. But I know damn well, it's a honey-coated trap. When the apocalypse fuses with reality, anyone who chooses the second option will become a vampire's puppet, slaughtering their own people. I can't stop everyone from jumping into the pit, but I can sure as hell make my choice. Baron, clean your neck and wait for death. I sneered coldly. Ding. You have made your choice. The vampire baron is now your mortal enemy. Ignoring the system's prompt, I moved to a corner of the crypt, kicking away some treasure and stepping on a hidden switch. Clang! The chain suspending a massive bronze coffin loosened, sending it crashing to the ground with an earth-shattering impact. The fall tore open a deep, bottomless pit in the dungeon floor. A nauseating stench of blood and agonized wails from countless tortured souls gushed from below. Down there was the Baron's lair, the blood pool. Without hesitation, I climbed down the jagged edges of the pit, descending into its depths. At the bottom, the Baron's furious roar reverberated through the air. "Intruder, this shall be your tomb." I crouched, activating stealth, peering into the chamber from the entrance. In the center of a massive blood pool lounged a devilishly handsome man. Beside him stood the resurrected Wolf King. Baron Gunnar, Gold Tier. Level 15, HP, 1.5 million. Resurrected Wolf King, Silver Tier. Level 10, HP, 350,000. 1 Gold Tier and 1 Silver Tier boss. Enough to wipe any elite raid group off the map. I immediately formed a plan. Kill the Wolf King first. That beast was fast, and leaving it alive would be a disaster. Raising my hand, I hurled a throwing knife. The Wolf King howled in pain, its HP rapidly dropping. The Baron's face darkened, but he didn't move from the blood pool. I got the message. The jerk was still in recovery mode, using the blood pool to regenerate mana and health. This was my chance. I had to deal as much damage to the Wolf King as possible, or better yet, finish it off before the Baron was back to full strength. Knife after knife, the Wolf King's health plummeted. The Baron's expression was as dark as midnight. Hitting a man's dog is bad enough, but beating it right in front of him? That kind of humiliation is hard to swallow. Enough! The Baron roared furiously, slamming his hand into the pool. Countless droplets of blood shot toward my last known position like bullets. I was ready for it and dashed behind the wall to avoid the attack. In that brief moment, the Baron healed the Wolf King for 20% of its HP. I cursed under my breath, but kept up the pressure. The Wolf King was soon critically wounded again, limping back to the Baron to beg for another heal. This time, the Baron muttered curses under his breath, but still grudgingly healed the beast again. Finally, he stood up from the blood pool. Boom! The Baron transformed into a crimson blur, levitating midair, his lips curling into a cruel smile. My turn. Blood tide. Dozens of crimson streams surged toward me, flooding the tomb in a tide of red doom. The obsidian floor itself had been torn apart. The damage here could easily rack up tens of thousands with just a scrape. I decided to lay low temporarily, waiting for my stealth cooldown. Then, once it was ready to go again, I unleashed another throwing knife. This time, the Wolf King let out a deathly howl. "I've got you now." The Baron's eyes narrowed as he raised his hand, shooting out a blood-red projectile. Barely managing to dodge it thanks to my insane agility, I watched as the blood arrow hit the ground, corroding it into a gaping pit. "You actually dodged that?" The Baron seemed a little surprised, but quickly sneered. "No matter, you'll die here today." Dark Duel. Suddenly, pitch-black energy engulfed the tomb chamber as a system notification popped up. Ding! Baron Gunnar has activated his special skill Dark Duel, sealing all escape routes. The duel will only end with one party's death. Should you perish, your character will be permanently deleted. Permanent deletion. My chest tightened. This wasn't something I'd encountered in my previous life. Was this some butterfly effect? Or, no time to dwell on that. What's done is done. With all escape routes sealed, I had only one option: kill him. Surprisingly, I found myself calming down. He felt forced to use this move, likely because he couldn't deal with my stealth tactics and was terrified I'd run away. You've got your hidden tricks, Baron, but I've got my own style of play. And hey, I've still got a decoy doll stashed in my inventory. If the worst happens, I can afford to die once. Having a fallback plan gives you swagger like this. I didn't hesitate anymore. I delivered the final blow to the Wolf King. The beast howled its last and collapsed in a thunderous heap, dropping loot everywhere. Ding! You've gained 1 evolution point. Current total, 6. No time to grab the loot. Another attack from the Baron was headed my way. After finishing off the Wolf King, I locked my gaze onto the Baron, or more specifically, onto the ring in his hand. A storage ring. That's a rare treasure. I have to make sure it drops, I thought. The Baron seemed to notice my stare and let out a sinister chuckle. "You greedy little worm. You want my family heirloom? Then trade your life for it. What followed was an onslaught of attacks. I dodged with precise focus and countered when the time was right. Dash 18535. Weak point attack. Asterisk asterisk. What the? How could a mere mortal possess such power? The Baron shouted, visibly shaken. What he couldn't wrap his head around was my true damage. His attacks became noticeably slower, his moves less coordinated. At 50% HP, he transitioned into Phase 2, with his speed skyrocketing. At 30%, he began to panic. By the time he was down to 10% HP, the facade cracked completely. He actually started begging for his life. Intruder, I'll share the secrets to eternal life with you. Let's make a deal. Ugh, classic villain script. I responded with a well-placed throwing knife. You'll regret this. My kin, they'll raise your entire world. The Baron screamed his final curse. I couldn't be bothered. I followed up with a few extra strikes for good measure. I just wanted to live another 500 years. And with those unwilling last words, Baron Gunnar collapsed. A dazzling flash of golden light filled the chamber, so bright it made my eyes sting. Jackpot. The loot explosion was no joke this time. Notification after notification flooded my system interface. You've defeated LV, 15 golden tier boss, Baron Gunnar. Earned 50,000 EXP. Hunter's Hour triggered. Gained 1 evolution point. Current total, 7. This is the first golden tier boss kill on the server. Awarded, 100 free attribute points, 10 skill points, and 50 fame. Server-wide announcement imminent. Would you like to hide your IGN? Hide it. Nah. Player Nightshade has achieved the first kill of golden tier boss Baron Gunnar. Keep grinding, adventurers. Player Nightshade is the first to reach 100 fame points, unlocking the fame leaderboard. As the server-wide notifications rang out, I'd bet every single player on the platform just froze in place. A golden tier boss? And I, Nightshade, was the one who took it down? At that very moment, I could practically hear the world chat channels exploding. Countless accusations of cheating would undoubtedly flood the GM's inboxes. As for the fame leaderboard thing, it didn't even register on my radar next to the bigger headline of first golden tier boss kill. But none of that mattered. I was busy sorting through my spoils now. That said, priorities first. The 100 free attribute points from the system reward? I dumped them all into agility without a second thought. Strength? I don't need a power boost. Constitution? If a boss hits me, I'm dead anyway. So what's a few chunks of extra HP gonna do? Intelligence? Leave that to the mages. For me, agility is king. The faster you move, the easier it is to dodge. And when you can dodge, you survive. Simple, but effective. With stats adjusted, I was ready to revel in my loot haul when, out of nowhere, yet another server-wide announcement popped up. Player Richardson has achieved the first kill of bronze tier boss Gale Wolf King. Richardson? Oh, I remember now. That guy with the SSS tier talent in my previous life. He did have his moment of glory in the early stages. Too bad for him. Once the game merged with reality, he just disappeared. Probably got physically deleted offline. So what if it's SSS tier? The gap between talents can be wider than that between a person and a dog. As for my talent, Sniper King, there's no doubt. It stands at the pinnacle of all talents, a true king among them. I didn't bother dwelling on those thoughts further and refocused my attention on the loot in front of me. First up, the Wolf King's drops. It's like a little appetizer. Wolf King's cloak and wolf hide leggings? Not bad. They boost agility and health, just what I need. I equipped them immediately. Armor-piercing greatsword. Something for a warrior, straight into the bag. I'll sell it later. Wolf King's horn. Summons a little wolf pup? Flashy but pointless. Also selling it. Blood of the Wolf King. Permanently increases agility by 15 points. Now that's the good stuff. I didn't hesitate and used it right there on the spot. With the Wolf King's drop sorted, it was time for the main event. Taking a deep breath, I reached for the shiny golden pile that the Baron Gunnar had left behind. The first item instantly made my pupils contract sharply. Gunnar Family Crest, Gold Tier Ring. The effect was straightforward, 100 slots of storage space. And the best part? Items stored inside wouldn't drop upon death. Holy crap, it actually dropped. This thing is a one-of-a-kind artifact in the early to mid-game. With it, I finally have an unshakable safety net. a completely secure portable storage. I couldn't help but smile as I slid the ring onto my finger, feeling an unprecedented sense of security. Baron Gunnar, you're truly a generous soul. But just as I was reveling in newfound bliss, I picked up the second item, only for my smile to freeze solid. Crimson Robe, Gold Tier. For mages. The third item? Tide of Blood, Skill Book, also for mages. The fourth one? Bloodstained Boots. For freaking mages again. At that point, I was really about to lose it. What the hell, man? I worked so hard, dodging skills, calculating out a strategy, taking down a gold-tier boss all by myself, only to end up with a pile of overpowered mage gear. What am I? Some mage's personal farming service? Just when I was about to curse out loud in frustration, I saw the final drop. There it was, another skill book, glowing gold. By then, I wasn't holding out much hope. But then I took a closer look in. Blood Plague, Gold Tier passive skill. If the target dies during the effect duration, Blood Plague will spread to enemies within a 10-meter radius. I froze for a second before bursting out into laughter. The plague of all poisons. In my previous life, this was hailed as the ultimate farming god skill. Blood Plague. As long as you kill one enemy, the poison spreads like wildfire, triggering a terrifying chain reaction. This isn't just a skill, it's a freaking perpetual motion machine, a murder engine made just for me. All those mage drops, I forgot about them instantly. They couldn't even kill my vibe anymore. This haul, absolutely worth every ounce of effort. With Blood Plague in hand, my leveling strategy became crystal clear. Step 1. Find an area crawling with mobs. Round up a group of 10 or 20 monsters. Step 2. Use a single shadow dagger to pick off the weakest one. Bam! The poison splashes everywhere, immediately hitting every nearby enemy with a continuous damage over time debuff. Wait until the effect is about to run out, then kill another one to refresh the plague. Rinse and repeat. Just like that, my farming efficiency is set to go through the roof. The more I thought about it, the more hyped I got. I learned the skill without a second thought. Now, all I'm missing is a solid AoE crowd control skill. No rush, though. I'm already having Dragon Dynasty's people keep an eye out for one. With their influence, they'll probably have it sorted within 3 days max. When the time comes, imagine me, an assassin, basically doubling as a mage, throwing out skills into mob clusters, and watching the XP bar skyrocket. The visual alone is enough to get me pumped. Any irritation I felt from all the mage gear earlier? Completely gone. With Blood Plague, who needs anything else? Satisfied, I wrapped up reviewing all my loot. A one-of-a-kind storage ring? Check. A gold-tier passive skill? Double check. This run went way beyond successful. I walked away loaded. Of course, I wasn't about to get cocky. No matter how incredible Blood Plague is, it's never going to replace Shadow Stealth as my bread and butter. If there's one thing I know, it's that staying alive is the ultimate form of DPS. And with the 7 evolution points I just saved up, killing a few small fries will net me that last point I need for Shadow Stealth's next upgrade. When that happens, even that bunch of Luo Sha one-shot slash morons won't be able to touch me, no matter how many flare bombs they throw around. I pulled out the key. You're out hunting rabbits, he's out hunting boars, and I got the first kill. We all have bright futures ahead. I muttered under my breath, turned, and headed toward the teleportation array in the middle of the blood pool. It was time to go back, but just before stepping into the teleport, I stayed cautious. I knew that old fox of a village chief had laid traps on the other side of the portal, ones meant to catch anyone without the aura of a vampire. To be extra safe, I stayed in stealth mode and even activated the shield on my ring. With 2,500 HP and an additional 3,000 from the shield, there was no way I'd mess this up in a rookie village. With a flash of light, I disappeared from where I stood. At nearly the exact moment I teleported, in beginner village number 9527, the village chief's friendly face flickered with a subtle hint of suspicion. The array set by his master had been triggered, but it wasn't yet the agreed time. Could it be? A bad premonition crept into his mind. Just then, a player rushed in excitedly. "Village chief, I've brought back the materials you asked for." The chief immediately replaced his suspicion with a warm smile. Handing over the reward, he feigned a concerned tone. "Brave adventurer, it seems a few abandoned houses in the village have been invaded. Could you investigate? The player, upon hearing of a new task, pounded his chest boldly. Don't worry, Chief. Brothers, grab your gear. Let's roll. A group of eager players stormed out, blissfully unaware that they were walking into a death trap. Meanwhile, I had just recovered from the dizziness of teleporting when a sharp claw swipe sliced toward me. A semi-transparent ghost was furiously attacking the spot I'd stood just moments ago. It hadn't noticed me. The ghost was part of the village chief's defensive setup. Kill on sight if there was no vampire aura. Easily dodging its attacks, I chose not to fight back. That poor ghost. It had been a miserable soul in life. I silently slipped through the wooden door and headed toward the village chief's home. After deactivating stealth mode, I only managed to take a couple of steps before I saw an unlucky bunch charging into the very house I'd just exited. Damn it! What kind of mission is this? The captain got wiped instantly. The screams and wailing from behind were soon followed by several beams of white light shooting skyward as players respawned. I shook my head and chose not to get involved. I knew that as long as I didn't kill the ghost, I could unlock a hidden quest later when exposing the village chief. The quest itself didn't have any tangible rewards, just a useless wooden comb with no stats. But today, I, Qin Xuan, was determined to stand as a paragon of justice. Old crank of a village chief, today's the day you're exposed. Fueled by a fiery sense of righteousness, I strode ahead with purpose. And then, I hit a roadblock. Holy crap, it's the infamous Night Reaper. That shout was like dropping a nuclear bomb into a calm lake. The entire rookie village erupted. Players swarmed in from every direction, forming layers of human walls as they boxed me in, staring at me like I was a rare gorilla at the zoo. Seeing the situation, a thought clicked in my head. I cleared my throat and shouted loudly. All right, I know you're all excited, but calm down. How about joining me for a hidden quest? The crowd went dead silent for a moment before bursting into even louder chaos. If it had been anyone else saying this, they'd immediately be dismissed as a scammer. But I was the Night Reaper. If I said there was a hidden quest, then there was a hidden quest. Big bro Night Reaper, what mission? Where do we accept it? Following the pro has got to mean sweet loot. Hey, Night Reaper, where'd you buy your hacks? Share the source. I raised my hand to quiet them down. Enough chatter. If you're coming, then follow me. With that, I pushed through the crowd and marched straight to the village chief's house. By the time I arrived, the chief was already waiting at the door with his guard squad. The moment he saw me, his face darkened. I knew it. He could smell the lingering grudge of his master's demise on me. This man carries an aura of evil. Arrest him. The village chief pointed at me, his voice sharp and commanding. The guards immediately raised their shields and advanced toward me. The players following behind exploded in outrage. Are you kidding me, Night Reaper? You're treating us like cannon fodder now. Night Reaper, screw you, man. Voices of condemnation filled the air, with some even tearfully berating me for stealing their rabbit hunting credit. Ignoring the rabble, I reached into my inventory and pulled out the still warm vampire baron's heart, holding it high. This is the heart of a vampire. I've rid the village of its threat, and this is how you treat your hero. The captain of the guard, Baru, froze in place and motioned for his men to halt. Cautiously, he stepped forward to inspect it. It really is a vampire's heart, Where did you get that from? I sneered, locking eyes with the village chief. That's a question for your esteemed chief here, isn't it? The chief panicked, bellowing, Balu, what are you standing there for? Arrest him now. Balu appeared caught in a dilemma. Seeing this, I had no interest in keeping up the charade any longer. My eyes narrowed as I roared with authority. Foul creature, I knew from the moment I set my eyes on you. You're no human. Before my words fully settled, I hurled the vampire heart in my hand directly at the village chief. The chief instinctively dove forward, catching the heart just before it hit the ground. When he raised his head, his glare was full of venom, like he was staring at his worst enemy. With a shrill, inhuman screech, he howled, You insolent humans dare defile my master's remains. The entire place went dead silent. The squad leader Balu scratched his ear, then turned incredulously to his teammate. Did he just say, Master? The teammate nodded blankly. Balu's face went pale in an instant. He raised his shield cautiously, glaring at the village chief like the man had just sprouted horns. Each word that came out of his mouth was practically squeezed between his teeth. Chief, anything else you'd like to confess? We players stood there, absolutely dumbfounded. Hold up. This NPC can betray his own side on the spot. This level of AI is on another level. A quick-witted player slapped his thigh and exclaimed, I get it now. It all makes sense. Night Stalker uncovered the truth about the chief being a traitor and came back to confront him head-on. Of course, makes perfect sense. I told you, the big guy wouldn't take on a fight he wasn't sure of winning. Yeah, says the guy who was the first to retreat when the guards rushed forward. While we players were busy chatting, the showdown on the field escalated to its peak. Realizing that his identity was exposed, the village chief decided to go all in. Without a single ounce of regret, he burst into crazed laughter as he clung to the beating, blood-soaked heart. I can't believe it. 10 painstaking years of work torn apart by an outsider. Then, without warning, he kissed the bloodied heart deeply. Ugh! The sound of collective gagging erupted around us, and one particularly hot-headed player cursed loudly as he charged forward with his sword. You sick freak! I'll end you, you pervert! Without hesitation, I calmly took 2 steps back. Yeah, no thanks. These rookies have no idea what they're dealing with. Sure enough, the chief's body began to expand like a balloon, his gaze turning malevolent as he locked onto the charging player. So eager to die? Allow me to oblige. Splat! A blood arrow shot out from the chief's palm, piercing the player's skull in an instant. With a flash of white light, they were gone. Such powerful strength. What hope do you have against me? The mutated village chief cackled as his body continued growing, towering to nearly 10 feet tall. His purple-black skin bulged with protruding veins, making him look like something that had crawled out of hell. Squad leader Balu let out a battle cry and charged forward, only to be swatted aside like a rag doll, coughing blood as he hit the ground hard. This was bad. Every player could feel their hearts sink. Balu grit his teeth and forced himself back up, his voice trembling with desperation as he pleaded, Adventurers, please, help us save the village. Meanwhile, on the other side, the chief gave us a sly, seductive grin. Outsiders, why fight me when you could gain power like mine? Ding. You have triggered a special mission, destruction or salvation. Choose wisely. Option 1, assist the chief. Reward, basic vampire gene. Option 2, assist Balu. Reward, plus 10 reputation. Whoa, a hidden quest popped up. Big boss, which one should we pick? Everyone's collective gaze landed on me. I didn't waste any words. I made my stance clear. Option 2, reputation will be valuable later on. Besides, I scanned the room, letting my tone turn icy cold. This mission divides into factions, forces you to team up or fight against each other. I'm picking option 2. You guys can decide what you want to do. Message delivered. Translation: picking option 1 means you're going against me, Night Stalker. My reputation in the group still carried weight. Most players immediately voiced their support, swearing to take down the traitor chief. Of course, there were always a handful of overconfident fools who thought they could outsmart everyone. They quietly picked option 1, intending to play double agent in the chaos. But the moment they made their choice, red tendrils of light erupted from the chief, marking their foreheads with a glowing crimson emblem. There was no hiding it now. Oh, great. So you're all a bunch of turncoats. I didn't even have to make a move. The rest of the players swarmed them in a fury. Me? I was less forgiving. I flicked an shadow dagger towards the nearest traitor, instantly taking him out. Right after, toxic bloodstorm erupted. The chief's cursed blood spread across the battlefield like wildfire, swallowing up every single player who had chosen to side with him. They didn't even have time to scream before their bodies disintegrated into beams of white light, returning to the respawn point. At that moment, any lingering hesitation in the hearts of undecided players evaporated entirely. Made a wise choice. Adventurers, eliminate this monster. Balu raised his arm and shouted, Charge! Defend our village. I've been waiting to teach this old geezer a lesson. This is it. The power of bonds. Players shouted and hyped themselves up, ready to go all out. And then, whoa, what the heck? With one loud exclamation, a stunned silence fell upon everyone. The supposed formidable mutant village chief hadn't even run 2 meters before he dropped dead to the ground, taken out entirely by one of my throwing knives. His massive body collapsed with a thunderous impact. The scene was beyond awkward. After all the build-up, the anticipation was at its peak, and then it was just done? That fast. Ahem, it was Night Wanderer who stepped in. Well, no wonder. Guess I couldn't keep up with the pace, someone muttered, trying to save face. The players promptly found excuses to cover their embarrassment. I ignored them, walked straight up to Balu, and said, Captain Balu, you've exposed the village chief's scheme. That position of authority rightfully belongs to you now. Balu appeared baffled, but with the unanimous support of the village guard, his title quickly changed to Village Chief Balu. Ding, mission completed. You gained 10 reputation points. Ding, you unveiled the village chief's true nature and earned the title Village Protector. Ding, gained additional 10 reputation points. Ding, your reputation with the Blood Clan has dropped to hostile. A series of notifications popped up. The rookie village mission chain had officially come to an end. Next up was turning in the hunter's quest and heading to the main city. Activating Shadow Stealth, I disappeared quietly into the crowd. At the hunter's house, I saw that same vengeful guy again, standing outside the yard, cursing a storm. And then, faster than I could care to react, a clean arrow shot out from inside the house, and with a thump, peace returned to the world. Shaking my head, I stepped inside. The village chief is dead? The hunter asked, skipping any pleasantries. I nodded. After handing him the Wolf King's head and receiving my quest reward, the hunter gave me a letter. Kid, you're pretty skilled. Head to Bailey City and find a trainer named Riweo. He's an old friend of mine. He'll show you some real techniques. Ding, you've accepted the quest, hunter's recommendation. Well, that was a nice bonus. Stashing the letter, I left the hunter's house, intending to find Balu to activate the teleportation portal. Yet, somehow, I found myself drawn back toward that abandoned little shack. The village chief was dead now, so the ghost he trapped inside should have been released, right? But just as I got to the door, I noticed a group of players gearing up to venture in. Stay sharp, boys. This ghost is supposed to be tough. Hey, what if we take its head back to the village and expose the new chief? Think we'd unlock another hidden quest like Night Wanderer did? I sighed internally. These guys really had interesting ideas. Elementary, my dear Watson, I blurted out, abruptly breaking their plotting. The group jumped in fright. Don't bother, I continued. The ghost you're looking for? It's already gone. One hot-headed player immediately turned around, cursing, who the hell are why? Before he could finish, his angry expression quickly morphed into one of utter terror. Night Wanderer. His legs shook like jelly. Sir, please don't take offense. I wasn't yelling at you, I swear. His teammate was quick on the uptake, discreetly shuffling a few steps away, clearly worried about some collateral bloodshed. I waved them off, uninterested. Relax. Just wanted to save you the trouble. With that, I pushed open the creaky wooden door. The inside was empty. No sign of any ghost whatsoever. The players glanced at each other, struck dumb. I ignored their confusion, walked to a corner, and picked up a lone wooden comb lying on the ground. Seeing for themselves that the quest enemy was truly gone, the group realized there was nothing to do here. Disappointed, they left in a hurry. I held on to the comb and turned back to find the newly minted village chief Balu. In the village chief's house, Balu was drowning in mess after mess. First, old lady Wang complained about her missing chicken. Then, grumpy old Lu claimed the previous chief owed him 100 gold coins. Balu was so frustrated I thought he might just toss old Lu into the Crimson Tomb. As soon as he noticed me, though, he sighed in relief, like he'd just spotted a lifesaver. Setting his cup aside, he rushed over. Hero, you're back. I handed him the comb. The joy on his face upon seeing it quickly turned to sadness. With a heavy sigh, he muttered, This belonged to Xiao Jia. She gave it to Tai Dan. Sigh. I should have been more vigilant back then, when they disappeared. Hero, do you think I even deserve to be village chief? You do, I answered firmly. Because nobody understood better than me. Balu was a good man. The village chief, full of warmth and bravery, gave everything to protect the village, even his life. Chief Baru, I've come here to ask for a favor. Speak, hero. I need to activate the teleportation array and travel to Belly City. Without hesitation, Baru's face lit up with enthusiasm as he eagerly led the way. Hero, you're just in time. The teleportation array was repaired a few days ago. You'll be the first one to use it. Standing at the center of the teleportation array, I chose my destination, Belly City. With a flash of bright light, I disappeared from the novice village. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself in the midst of a grandiose city. Beneath my feet gleamed smooth, mirror-like marble. Around me sprawled wide avenues, large enough for 10 horse-drawn carriages to ride side by side. This was it, Belly City. The intelligence of NPCs in the main city was noticeably more advanced. Their gazes on me were a mixture of curiosity and disdain, as if they were eyeing an unsophisticated country bumpkin who had just set foot in the big city. I ignored their stares, my mind processing rapidly. First, I needed to find Rihueo and hand in the quest to get the skill book. Second, visit the career mentor and finish my first job advancement. Third, and most importantly, buy property. I knew that it wouldn't be long before revelation merged with reality, and the game world would descend upon Earth. The city, protected by the rules, would become an absolute safe zone. Buying some property here, now, would be like securing a final lifeline for myself. With my priorities straight, I headed straight to the Northern Administrative District. Rihueo, a friend of the hunter, served as an instructor in the City Lord's Guard. Halt! You look like a spy. Just as I reached the entrance, I was stopped by the guards. Ah, right. Forgot that my reputation wasn't worth much around here yet. Without missing a beat, I casually pulled out 2 silver coins from my pouch and slipped them into the guard's hand, lowering my voice. Brother, I'm here to see Instructor Rihueo. A hunter friend sent me. The guard pocketed the coins without a word, his demeanor softening considerably. Wait here. Not long after, a burly figure strode out in long steps. It was none other than Rihueo. He took the letter I handed over and gave it a quick read, his expression softening as he fell into the trademark NPC recollections mode of reminiscing about the past. I waited patiently as he finished his monologue. Since this is a favor from an old friend, I'll assist, Rihueo mused after a moment. However, I specialize in archery, which might not suit your needs. Here's what I'll do. I'll write you a letter. Take it to Edith, she'll know what to do. Ding. Quest updated. Quest description. Deliver Rihueo's letter to Edith. Quest reward. Random Universal Range Skill booked. My heart practically leapt with joy. Who is Edith? Only the assassin mentor of Belly City. The quest reward had upgraded from Random Range Skill Book to Random Universal Range Skill Book, and now it even came with a personalized recommendation letter. This was clearly designed as a tailored benefit for players like me. It seemed that the hunter's hidden quest chain was even more lucrative than I'd originally anticipated. After bidding Rihueo farewell, I headed straight for the rift located outside the western city gates. Edith resided not within the city, but in the chaotic, dangerous territory of the underground black market. As I arrived at the edge of the rift, 2 shady-looking NPCs blocked my path. Lost, aren't you, little brother? They sneered, their sinister demeanor making it clear. One stood in front, while the other quietly cut off any chance of retreat behind me.